Okay, looks like I made that in just the nick of time. Hello, everybody. I am Chloe Alice Balkan, and welcome to Chill and Chat number 10, the final Chill and Chat of Writer's Conduit. My plan for today is I will be inviting some other panelists to join me. So bear with the weird screen that I have with this random timer there, because there's no way to do a picture in picture if I don't have another picture up there. So I am going to mess with that in just a minute, but I have to get some links up. Sorry, I literally am just coming from another panel. I just finished up my indie versus traditional publishing panel. I can't talk, apparently. I've been doing this all day, and that's how we are. So I am going to get this link out to people. If you are watching now, I would love to know how you've been enjoying the con and what you've learned, what your favorite panels are. We are going to chill and also chat, right? And if need be, if we've got some downtime, I'll go ahead and run some sprints as well, but I'd love to get some other panelists in on this, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, it looks like we are getting a raid in here. Oh gosh, ignore the fact that that it says ignore me on the bottom of this screen. I have everything inverted from how I usually have things set up. Let me actually get my name on here. I am Chloe Alice Balkan. Yes, we are all here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I am going to get this link out there. Sorry, I wanted to be a little bit more planned, but I'm sure we are all slightly behind the ball at this point. Like the last day of any convention, everything is kind of running at the wrong speed right now. Dozing. I support that. I definitely, I woke up this morning, was like, I am very frizzy today, and we are just accepting the frizzy, not just the hair, but the soul. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to confuse everybody who's used to using StreamYard because I'm dual running it on two computers. So there's like 8 bajillion instances of me floating around, but that's okay. Oh, good. We already have somebody that's planning on coming. Let's see. And I'm going to turn off. Let's see. Stop that. There we go. And we'll see how this goes. And hopefully we can have some nice chat with other panelists and see what everybody else liked and kind of do a little meet and greet over here. There are, if you are not aware, there are a couple other panels that are running right now, and I meant to have this all pulled up, but of course, final day. We're doing the best we can. I meant to have all of this prepared, and then I didn't. So right now we just have the AMA with Tail Foundry. Sorry that was a real shrill note right there. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's ears. So that is the other thing that is going on right now. And I am going to pull up a link for that in just a moment. So if you would like to join in on that AMA, you can. You will not hurt my feelings. Let's see. All right. And that, oh, Lord. What did that? Oh, no. Sorry. That was real dramatic, wasn't it? My bot decided to post something at the exact same time that I did. And for a second there, I thought I had copy and pasted some like total nightmare. Oh, God, what did I do? No. It's just the bot popping up at the same time. But that is what else is happening right now. What's everybody up to? I got a bunch of viewers. We are chilling and chatting. If you guys really want me to do some sprints, I can, but I feel like I'm not the only one who's frizzy right now and probably doesn't want to be writing right now. Like writing is for tomorrow, right? There we go. We have our first guest. Oh no.
Hello.
You're not going to be tiny. That's just me. There we go. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, am I? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I've got both computers muted at the same time. Don't mind me. I'm just disorganized right now. There we go. Don't
mind me. Hi, Moonflower. Hi, Dragon Magpie.
Oh. Okay, does this sound right? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There we go. It was like going through 7 different screens at the same time. It's fine. Sorry about that. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm very tired, but I'm actually doing all right.
That's fair. Do you want to introduce yourself to the viewers there? I can't even conjugate words properly right now.
I understand. I'm hearing an echo. I'm hearing myself. Okay.
There. Is that better? Can you hear yourself now?
No, I don't hear me at this point, so.
Okay.
My name is EliKwake. I am a independently published author. I can almost speak at this point. I just got, about an hour ago, I got off a panel with Benji from Tale Foundry and Janet from World Anvil. We were talking about our worst pieces ever, and it was a lot of fun.
That sounds like a great panel. What was your worst piece?
My worst piece is actually the rough draft of the book that I'm releasing in September.
Oh,
although
I'm glad it's come back around. Hopefully, yes, it has come back around. Yes,
it has come back around. The initial draft of that book was, we don't like to talk about this. On the other hand, I was very close to choosing the third book because I haven't finished revising it yet because I keep getting migraines every time I look at it.
Like literally, you're literally getting migraines?
Literally getting migraines.
Oh no.
It's getting better.
I wasn't questioning that. I just wanted to verify that this was actually a medical, a novel-induced medical condition.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's actually gotten a lot better. The migraines were mostly hitting me in April. During April camp for NaNoWriMo, I was editing Guardian, which is the second book that's coming out in September, and then I was revising Avadis, which is the third book. And I had to kind of stop a lot during the last 15 days or so of that month. I had to kind of stop a lot. And I didn't accomplish a whole lot because I got to a certain point in the book and went, help.
So did you, so the book that you said has already been published that you consider to be your worst thing ever, was there a particular element of it that made it terrible, or was it just like off the? Okay, what was the particular element?
The particular element that made my book the worst, it literally made me cry, was everybody was out of character. All of the characters were doing things where it's like, why? And the writing was, we don't talk about the writing.
I feel like there's kind of a compounding effect where, like, if one element goes wrong, then everything else goes wrong. And part of this is because I do come from a math background, and
right.
And so that is very much a part of my life, or my past life before I went down this track, is that, like,
hi, Coffee.
Sometimes the element that goes wrong isn't the one that you're looking at, but it causes that domino effect where, like you said, that you had these characters that were not their characters, and therefore just everything tumbled around it. So how did you ultimately fix it? Did you change your characters to match what they were doing, or did you force them into their roles?
No, what I did was I did a complete rewrite of that book. Like, I started at the prologue and I went all the way to the epilogue, and I said, we're going to do this again.
And how much? So I know that this means that you replaced pretty much everything then, but, like, did your plot stay fully intact?
Oh yeah, the plot was great.
Okay.
That was the one thing I liked about the book, was the plot was excellent. I was like, this is exactly what it needs to be. It's doing all the things that I want it to do. The plot needs to stay. The only problem is everything else. Like,
understandable.
I guess the world building was fine, because that ties into the plot quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The world building was fine, but the characters were a mess. They were a garbage fire, and the writing. Well, I'm gonna cut myself some slack. I wrote this book, the first draft, in 10 days with 0 to 5 hours of sleep per night. For those 10 days. So I cut myself some slack with that book, especially that first draft.
So Alejandra just asked, what book are we talking about? Is this one that is actively published? I'm also going to go ahead and add SiobhantheWriter to the stream, but we're going to keep talking to you for a few minutes. But if they want to jump in, they are welcome to. I'm assuming that their camera is not working, which is totally fine. But yeah, so is this a book that you said that this is actively published now?
Not yet. It will be coming out in September. It is currently it's in the hands of the editor. I'm doing a Kickstarter for it. I have the cover art. The cover art is beautiful. Hello, Siobhan.
Hello. Sorry, I had it set up for something else because of the whole quick switch to other panels earlier.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to jump directly from another panel to get this going, and I gave myself literally 30 seconds, and all of my devices are attached to the wrong computer now because of that, which is why we had that, like, crazy echo thing that happened.
Oh, yeah.
So, Eli, so it is currently in the works to be published, but it is a complete and ready to go manuscript at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the proofreading is one of the things that's going to be funded by the Kickstarter.
Awesome.
But that's about what it has to do still. And
awesome.
The formatting, but that should take me a couple of hours. I do my own formatting.
And what genre do you write in?
This one is a YA paranormal dark fantasy. I generally write fantasy, but what kind? Yeah.
Fair. If you want to share your Kickstarter, I am totally fine with that. You'll have to go to you know what? I don't know. I guess, I'm sorry, I'm used to doing all of this on YouTube where, like, I have to funnel all of the links out, but we're on Twitch. If you want to share your Kickstarter, you have all the permission in the world to share your Kickstarter.
Let me pull it up real quick on my phone, and then I will port through the phone to the Twitch. And
it's a whole adventure.
Yeah.
Actually, Eli, I can probably grab it off of Sable's stream.
That works too. That is Hindsight Being 2020, which is my other book. Well, the one that I talk about. I have a poetry book that I put out in 2019 that I just kind of... It exists.
I feel, I mean, I think we're all rational and we understand this. I feel like that is just kind of the world of poetry, that like it would be really amazing if there was a great big market for poetry, but there's really not. Poetry you put out there for your own love of poetry.
Yeah, I did actually publish a book in May that is poetry and short stories.
Excellent.
Yes, it's Hindsight Being 2020, and it has really good poems in it.
Awesome.
And really good stories.
What genre is the short story aspect, or does it run the gamut?
It runs quite a bit of a gamut. Let's see here. Most of them are fantasy in some way, shape, or form. I do have a couple of contemporary fiction in there, and one weird fiction, which I originally... shoot. The panel that I had with Janet Forbes and Benji from Tales Foundry...
Your stinkers.
Oh, yeah, the stinkers. Janet brought up the fact that she had a story published by CONduit Publishing, which just went under. So all of the rights reverted back to us. And I had a story that was going to be published by CONduit Publishing. And then a month later, they were like, But
you didn't have any problems getting your rights back, right? Because that
No, everything reverted to me.
For those of you who haven't been in the industry that long, or haven't looked into the professional side of it, this has been a major problem in the last decade as these smaller houses keep folding, which is a problem in its own right, but also some of the houses have been really great about getting the rights back to the authors, and some of the houses have been not so good with it. And the thing is that even though the house doesn't exist, until you get those rights back, you can't touch your own content. So I'm really glad that you didn't have any problems getting your rights back on that.
Yeah, I actually had a story that was published by CONduit. It was for a free anthology. It was all done for charity. It was the beginning of the pandemic. Everything was terrible. And a bunch of us got together and said, I'm going to write something that feels really nice. I'm going to give some hope to this really dark and scary world that we're all living in right now. So this was put together by a friend of mine, Crystal Kirkham, and she did the editing along with Jody Jensen, who's also a really awesome person. And it was a free anthology. No one was paid. It was all volunteer. So I did actually have that published by CONduit. And then I had another story that I was going to get paid for, which was The Door of Distant Dreams. It's a weird fiction. I have a vague idea of where it came from.
as all good stories, I don't know.
Yeah.
Aww.
No coffee.
I'll be right back.
I put an entire teapot next to me. Go get your coffee.
Doesn't mean I have to leave the conversation, though. That's a good thing.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So what is your plan now with that story? Are you going to self-publish it, or are you going to try to get it elsewhere? Oh, that is that story.
It's in there. It's in there. There's 13 short stories and 29 poems.
Awesome. And did you self-publish, or did you get it into another publishing house?
No, I decided to self-publish myself because I had the 13 short stories and the 39 poems. I did have a couple of other stories, but I didn't feel comfortable publishing them at this time. Therefore, not going to publish them at this time. But it ended up working out really well because there's 13 moons in every year. So the first so-called chapter of the book is Wolf Moon, which was the first moon of the year, followed by Snow Moon, Worm Moon, Pink Moon, so on and so forth. And so I divided up the year into the 13 months and said, okay, so at the time that I was in that moon, what was going on in my life. So January seemed really hopeful at first. So I put a really hopeful story at the beginning of it. Things went downhill very quickly. The next story is what is the next story? Oh, the next story is February. February. Okay, everybody had a bad 2020. I lost my grandmother in February.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have a story.
You lost a friend to cirrhosis of the liver in April.
Rough.
That, like, it was crazy because we were losing so many people, of course, to COVID, and then here comes Ed with cirrhosis of the liver. Like, I don't know. It's been such a weird year, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm sorry for your loss. But is that what your February story is about?
Sort of. The poems in there are about that.
Gotcha. The poems are.
Moon. That particular story is But None of Them Were Mittens, which is about a little kid who loses their cat and learns to move on because their mom says, well, there's an adoption event today. Why don't we go and adopt a new cat? And it starts with them saying, but none of them were mittens.
Aww.
None of them were mittens, and I wanted mittens. And at the end of the story, they find a cat whose owner had died, and they take a look at this cat and say, I'm going to take you home with me.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you were able to turn that little publisher disaster into something like your own project. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So Siobhan, it is Siobhan, right? I'm pronouncing that right? Awesome. Eli, feel free to stay and we'll talk to both of you.
Yeah,
I want to talk to both of you. I just, like, once we hit like Brady Bunch, because that does happen with this app sometimes.
It's true.
Then we'll start culling the herd. But everybody stick around. Siobhan, what panel did you just get out of? Oh, you are muted. Or am I? Nope.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. This has been the entire weekend, right? You are muted.
Yeah. At least one panel every day.
The panel that I just got out of was the one I was actually helping moderate, and that was the one you were just in.
Oh, awesome. So, I know that you were a panelist in a lot of panels this weekend, though, right?
I was a panelist on 4 and a host on 2.
Awesome. Did you have a favorite panel? You don't have to pick favorites, but do you have a favorite or a notable panel that you wanted to talk about some? Or we could talk about something completely different if you don't want to do that.
Well, the thing is 2 of the panels that I was on, or 3 of the panels I was on, we needed a lot more time. Holy cow. Yeah, Eli and I were on 2 of them.
Yeah, I feel like one. Yeah.
Oh, and I heard about that.
Trans and NB characters.
My last
Trans and NB characters actually went over.
Yeah, and we still needed more time.
Yeah, we did. And I was on this morning in my time zone. It was ADHD and writing, and we could have gone on for hours and hours and hours.
Well, yeah.
I feel like this might be something, and obviously I'm just like shooting in the wind. I'm only a panelist here as well, but I feel like this is something where we could like do an addition to CONduit where we have like a monthly, this is just the one thing that we are going to talk about for a few hours so that we can get fully into these topics. But yeah, it is interesting how, you try to pace yourselves right, and it always, no matter what the topic is, you always need more. You want to do that deep dive, but you only have an hour to do it.
Yeah.
And some of the questions were like, it would take for us to answer them properly.
It would take an entire panel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mythology. We had something like 7 questions that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
And I was looking at them going, these are good questions. I want to get to them, but we don't have time.
Is there a particular question that you remember that you would want to discuss now? I wanted to watch that panel and I was doing my chill and chat, so I was unable to. I'm really excited to see that one in the replay, but is there a particular one that you would be interested in talking about now?
I'm trying to remember what the questions were.
Well, one of them was how to build a realistic mythology in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
So this is like building your own mythology from scratch.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do y'all have thoughts on that?
Actually, I do, because I'm building my own mythology in one of my World Anvil worlds. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so am I for my novel, actually.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I just had to build a whole magic system, which is, of course, a little bit different from mythology. But in order to build that magic system, I also had to have a mythology to explain it. So, yeah, I've been there as well.
Well, that's another thing. That was a panel that could have gone on as magic.
Yeah.
Did we have one for magic?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
We had a realistic world building, which probably touched on magic.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you could have a whole panel on, because there are so many different types of magic.
Yeah, exactly. There's low magic, there's high magic, there's yada yada. But
yeah.
So I am going to pronounce that. I'm sorry. I've got like equipment right here, and the chat box is directly behind it. Winifred, I'm going to pronounce that. What is it that you want explained in 30 seconds? But while I'm getting that answer from you, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about this building a system from scratch, or building a mythology from scratch. If Siobhan, if you want to start, we'll do this panel style.
When you're building a mythology from scratch, the first thing you have to look at is how does it interact with your world, and how does your world interact with it?
Yes.
Because honestly, some mythologies are the followers affect the deities, right? So if the followers believe this, that's what the deity is going to be. Some, it's the deity affects the followers. So in my world, it's a little bit of both. So if the followers think of the deity as appearing this way, they will. Yet if the deity travels, well, for me, they're the eldritch. So if the eldritch character travels from one part of the world to another, where they are thought of differently, they will change. They will physically change for those followers.
That was an element. I'm assuming that since you guys were on that panel, that you're probably familiar with this as well. But that was certainly a big element of American gods. That these mythological, these gods from other regions, when they came to America, became completely different gods for being in a different region. So I love that you brought that up. How about you, Eli?
The gods of the world that I'm building my mythology around interact with their followers, and their followers. Okay, so I don't know how many gods there are in this world, but the gods are gods of specific things. Like I have Bobrus, who's the god of the road. I have Astara, who's the god of the stars and the sun and celestial bodies, basically. And Deinmachus, who's the god of the forest. And the people who follow these specific gods, like Bobrus is followed by what is the term I am thinking of? People who follow the road. So they live in caravans, they travel everywhere, they're nomads. The people who follow Deinmachus tend to be foresters. They tend to do like not so much wood cutting, but forest maintenance. So like if the forest needs to be, they're foresters.
They take care of culling trees that need to be pulled out.
Exactly.
Looking for the wounded animals to finish them off, or make sure the herds or the warrens aren't overrun. Yeah.
It's all that things, and then Astara, of course, anybody who follows her is going to be like an astronomer or Yeah.
Yeah. I was noticing Bob's comment.
Huh?
I'm not sure if I'm building one mythology or 12. Each race in my world has their own pantheon. Well, one thing to consider too, Bob, is the fact that a lot of mythology actually crosses over.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one
Obviously,
of
the
the
easiest
things.
example is the Greek and the Roman, but it
Oh, yeah.
happened in, that again, that is the most basic, obvious example, but you see it in every time two cultures come together, you get these crossovers.
Yeah.
And they'll have been there even before the crossovers happened.
Yeah, exactly. There's a African myth. Once again, I can't remember. I talked about this in the mythology panel.
Yeah.
There's an African myth that is almost identical to the Herculean myth about the lion. They're almost identical, but they're from different cultures. And I could not tell you if the Greeks inspired the African myth or the African myth inspired the Greek myth.
Or if they were independent.
Or if they were independent. That's an option.
Well, that's the same with, y'all know that the flood, the Noah's Ark,
Yes.
that mythology exists all over, which means
Every
that
culture
most
in the
likely,
world has that mythology.
Yes.
And that was
which
actually
means
discussed on our panel.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
You know what?
I've
We didn't.
actually read that, somebody using it as proof that Noah's Ark was a real thing that happened, when really what it most likely proves is that there was once a great big flood that affected all of the people in the world who, of course, we're going back far enough in time that the populations would have been much closer together. And then it would have most likely been that they were all the people in the same population had the worst flood imaginable. And then as they dispersed across the world, they took that myth with them. But I've always found that to be a really fascinating, proof that maybe not necessarily Noah's Ark happened, but there is a historical actual basis for why these myths exist.
And they've actually found in geography, the geology and archaeological sites, the water line.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really interesting one.
Yeah, and one of the things that we didn't get to touch on in the mythology panel, which I kind of wish we had gotten to actually, is so many cultures from across the entire globe, including cultures that didn't intersect with European or Asian or whatever, have myths or mythology involving dragons or dragon similar creatures. Yeah.
Every culture has a dragon mythology.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single culture.
I mean, I feel like with that, it could be, obviously dinosaurs and humans did not coexist, but there would have been evidence of them because there's evidence today. So there would have always been some evidence that that could also be just where they saw these remains of these great creatures. They're all over the globe. So it makes sense that they would come up with a rationale behind why these things existed and what they once might have been.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that you actually have Homo sapien footprints in the same layer of Earth as dinosaur footprints, literally side by side.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I'm learning stuff today too.
See, one of the things I do is I like to do my research, and I research history and archaeology and stuff like that, because it helps build a world. Because your world may be based in this time, but how did it get there? What happened before that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there an explanation? Do they think that Homo sapiens and the later species of dinosaurs did coexist, or that there was kind of a transition time where whatever dinosaurs eventually became and the precursors to Homo sapiens existed together?
A little bit of both. I mean, there are some cultures in some areas where they still say they're seeing what would be dinosaurs.
Yeah. And especially in, for example, Australia, there are technically still dinosaurs because have you ever seen an emu?
Yes.
Oh, that's true. I live in the Atlanta suburbs now, but I am from Delaware, which is, if you're not geographically familiar with Delaware, it is in a peninsula that sticks out into the Atlantic Ocean. And we are completely overrun by horseshoe crabs. So we have our own weird form of dinosaurs there.
Yeah. There's another one besides the emu, but I'm struggling to remember what it is called. It begins with a C. It is not capybara. That is something completely different.
Well, the capybara is actually the largest.
Marsupial.
No,
not
rodent.
marsupial. Rodent.
Rodent, yeah.
And it's as big as some dogs.
Yeah, it is. No, it starts with a C.
The other thing too is, if you look in the oceans, we still have dinosaurs. They're called sharks.
Yeah, it's true. I was thinking of the cassowary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It takes me a while, but I get there. It's like, as long as I can think of this first letter, it'll get there eventually. I might have to go through the entire alphabet to get there, but...
Yeah. Another thing, too, is alligators and crocodiles
they're technically...
are still technically dinosaurs, because... So when they say that this thing happened and wiped out all the dinosaurs, it's not true.
No, it's not true.
Because they're finding fish that they thought were extinct for 40 million years.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deslicat, that is... I understand.
Yeah.
That is the spirit. So, Eli, what other panels? I know that we've talked about, you were just on My Worst Story Ever, and then you were also on this mythology panel. What other panels were you on?
9.
Good heavens.
Yes, I was on 9 panels. Let's see here. I started... Okay, so I couldn't do anything on Friday. Otherwise, there would have been more panels that I was on. But Friday... Okay, you're right. La'an and Sable and etc. probably would have gone no. Because I was going to volunteer for more panels, and La'an, I was typing, I can help. And La'an said, Eli, no.
No.
So I would have volunteered for more panels on Friday if that had been an option. They probably wouldn't have given me any. But let's see here. Yesterday morning, I had the chill and chat. First thing in the stream, first thing of the con for Saturday. I started the chill and chat.
We'll go ahead and bring this up again.
Yeah. It's been a long weekend. Let's see here. After I finished the chill and chat, I had a break, and then I went into Intro to Publishing, where I was the lead. And then I had a break, and then I had a 4-hour panel block, which started with poetry, went to songwriting for novels, went to... Oh, yes, How Not to Procrastinate, where I was slightly late, but not as late as the Living Ted.
Well, wasn't Sable on that one too?
Yes, Sable was on that one too. So yeah, that was interesting. Unlike the Living Ted, I had planned to be late because I was going, I have a 4-panel block. I'm going to need to pee. So,
yeah, but you also gave your host a heads up.
Yes, I did give the host a heads up. And then I was hosting Mythology right after that, where I was very quiet because I was looking at my stream and going, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I went from...
Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, I went from hosting How to Build a World Without Racism to the Mythology. Racism?
Bob, I believe we are getting a bit of echo on your end.
Yep. Fixed. Sorry.
Awesome. No, it's fine. Just in case you didn't know, I wanted to put that out there. So I have a really... Bob, I'm going to talk to you in just a moment, but really quickly while I'm thinking of it, Eli, I have a question. You said that you went from the poetry panel to the songwriting for novels panel. And I'm curious... Because to me, songwriting for a novel is just writing poetry for a novel. So I'm curious about what the difference then would be.
Well,
or if there is any, you can totally say there's no difference whatsoever, and you're literally just writing a poem, and I'm fine with that.
one of the conclusions that we came to in the songwriting panel was that songwriting and writing poetry had to be pretty much enmeshed. But there's a difference between the two panels because writing poetry can be its own thing. I have a poetry book. I also have a story and poetry book. Whereas if you're writing a song for a novel, you are writing poetry technically, but you have to figure out how to do it right because, okay, Tolkien had entire stanzas of lyrics. That's one of the things in his novels is he has entire stanzas of this is a song, and most people skip that. One of the things that we talked about was if you're going to have a song in your novel and you don't want people to skip it, you gotta break it up a little bit.
I mean, Anne McCaffrey did a great job with that by putting a verse
at the beginning of
every chapter.
Oh, that's smart.
You take that verse and you put it together, and you get the whole song throughout the book.
Yep.
I will concur with that. By the way, I think it was my third reading through the Lord of the Rings before I actually read all of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
them. I was just thinking about that as you were talking about just the, how the two are different. I was thinking about that, the fact that like if I see any sort of both poetry or actual song lyrics in a book these days, I will skip over it. I don't think I have read that since Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's just
if it's like 8 to 12 lines long, I'll read it.
Mm-hmm.
But Tolkien had some that went on for 2 pages.
Yeah, exactly.
And you read the first 12 lines and you realize, you know what, these 2 pages aren't going to tell me anything. Flip.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 100% it. And if you are, I know that a lot of people with Tolkien specific is a good example of this, that a lot of people are so into the mythology of it that they will read that stuff. But for those of us who are just casual readers who are just here to read a story, a lot of times like what is in that song or that poem just doesn't I don't think I need this. This doesn't further my, like, if I skip over this, I'm not going to then be confused about what happens in the future.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. One of the things that we came up with in the panel, because we had someone in chat who was talking about, I want to write a novel about bardic magic and have a magic system that involves music and have epic bard battles. And we were like, this sounds awesome. We like it. Here's how to do it and not have people skip over your lyrics. So one of the things that we said was intersperse prose between your lyrics.
Yep. One group of books that I really enjoyed was the Spell Song War Saga by Ellie Modestet Jr. Because, you got the songs in there. Half the time, they were just little ditties.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Anne McCaffrey. The first Harper Hall book. I can still remember the first chapter had the tears I'll shed today, I'll wait to shed tomorrow. Yada, yada.
The funeral dirge.
The funeral dirge. I remember when I was a kid, I loved that poem/song so much that I actually came up with a tune to it that I still remember. Excellent. I don't remember all of the words anymore, but I remember the tune.
Just putting it out there, if it rhymes, I'm more likely to read it as well. Because I am making sure that they actually rhyme, because I'm one of those asses.
Yeah, exactly.
If I do see a pattern that I want to make sure that the author is following this pattern, I'll read the entire thing and enjoy it and feel better for going through it. But I'm literally only doing it to make sure that they actually followed the rules that they set out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing that we talked about in that panel was if you're going to be writing song lyrics, make sure that it actually has rhythm and acts like a song and rhymes and all of the things that you set out to do. Make sure it actually does them. Yeah.
Yeah, because that'll help people find a reason to keep reading it when they maybe weren't necessarily going to read it to begin with.
Yes,
so
that's the cat. Must count.
RPG Dinosaur Bob, may I call you Bob?
Sure. Yep.
Awesome.
Everybody does.
Bob, what was, right. People put their entire stuff on the screen, and I like to make sure. Bob, what was your last panel?
My last panel was map making.
Oh, awesome.
Ooh.
My most fun one was the one before that, which was RPG writing.
Excellent. And that is not to be one of those people who is like out of the loop, but we're talking the most basic being Dungeons and Dragons and going from there.
Yeah, well,
and is this
I'll start
actually...
by saying.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to start by saying that one of the things that made it interesting was the fact that a half hour before the panel, everybody realized that the panel lead was completely MIA.
Oh no!
So Coffee Quills DMs me and says, "Bob, you're the panel lead."
So, I saw that.
That's okay. My racism panel lead was MIA.
I had 20 minutes to put together an entire outline for a 2-hour panel. It actually went beautifully. And to be perfectly honest with you, next year, what was one RPG writing panel could be 4 discrete topic 1 to 2 hour panels. So
my question really quick on this, I want to hear a whole bunch more about this panel, but again, because this is something that I don't actually do. My household does actual board games with boards. We don't do RPGs. But when you talk about RPG writing, is this like the actual writing the manuals that you can buy, or is this setting up campaigns?
That was the first point.
Okay.
Are we talking about creating a campaign world? Are we talking about writing adventures for a pre-existing world?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we talking about writing a rule set?
Right.
Because they are 3 very discrete topics.
And now, is writing the rule set again, I'm sorry, I know this from talking to other people who do these things. When you say writing the rule set, this is where they already have the book and they are being the dungeon master? I'm sorry.
Writing the rule set is writing the entire player's guide.
Yeah. Okay, so that is writing the book.
This is how you set up your character. This is how you do combat. This is how you do exploration. These are your statistics. These are your skills. This is how you roll to see if something succeeds or fails. Because there are hundreds, if not more. I think we said hundreds, if not thousands, of rule systems out there now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, the dinosaur in my name, and I mentioned this on the panel too, the dinosaur in my name is there because I started doing this when there was one rule system out there.
Yeah.
And the history of the whole genre, there was a game called Chainmail. It was rules for tabletop miniature medieval combat. All right, bunch of geeks got together and put little metal knights and archers and things like that on a table that had hills, and if you're lucky, somebody actually used their model train layout skills to build a real battlefield, and if not, there was a pile of books, and that's a mountain, and there was a wad of paper, and that's a hill, and
I support that.
Well, and then one day, this guy named Gary Gygax,
mm-hmm.
all right, his name be praised, was playing this game with his friends, and said, "What would happen if there was a magic user throwing fireballs from over here?" And they wrote up a rule supplement for Chainmail to cover magic.
Nice.
And passed it around. Talk about original indie publishing. I mean, he literally Xeroxed it himself and handed it out to local game shops that were doing Chainmail. And it got so popular that within a year he was writing the original Dungeons and Dragons rules.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And from there,
yeah, and I mean,
growing up, I never dealt with any of it, but my brother, who's 7 years older than me, I'm 40, so he's about 47. So this obviously would have been 80s. He would have been the same age as the kids in Stranger Things who are playing D&D. Yeah. I remember him playing it as well and having 30 different like magazine size books that were all somehow different, and I didn't understand. I was quite a bit younger, and my world was more Care Bears, but I remember even then, and even with that one system, there being so much stuff that went along with it, when at the end of the day, there was no actual like figures or anything. They had like,
No, you had a piece. If you were lucky, you had a pre-printed character sheet that you took your pencil and eraser to.
Yeah.
And if not, you just pulled out a piece of loose leaf and you wrote,
you created
strength,
one.
Strength, intelligence, strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma down the side, and you grew from there. You threw the dice and you got numbers, and off you went.
Yeah, that was how my brother did it. My brother played when he was in middle school. I was still in elementary. So I was not allowed to play. But
I wasn't either. I was occasionally allowed to be She-Ra when he played He-Man, and that was like my claim to fame.
Yeah.
That was back before the the D&D is demonic.
Oh God.
I got to live through that.
So did I.
I remember D&D was demonic.
Yes. No, we're not casting spells.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not sacrificing things to the devil.
We're not summoning the demons,
Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, nowadays though there are a million different rule sets out. Well, there are hundreds, if not thousands, literally.
Yeah.
And the fact is, you can probably, if you want to do the homework, you can probably find one. If you're not happy with D&D 5th edition, there's a few things specific that you don't like about it, then there's probably something else out there already that you can use. Or you can take what you don't like in D&D 5th edition and write your own. Now, people are, again, GMs do this all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
They just write their own house rules.
Mm-hmm.
And say, okay, yeah, the book says this, but I say that, and that's it. And that's as far as it goes. All right, now the trick becomes, do you want to actually sell that to somebody else?
Just a little related to that, but slightly unrelated. I don't know if y'all saw Uno, the card game Uno.
Yep.
Put out a tweet not that long ago explaining that you are not supposed to be compounding the draw 4s and the draw 2s.
What? Lies.
Well, right. And that's the thing is that, like, why would you say that? Like, if this is how people enjoy playing it, they have already purchased this. It is now their property. It is no longer your property. So if they want to change the rules, if we have all, literally everybody as a society has agreed that we like to be able to pass plus 24 to somebody if we can.
Exactly.
Let us do that. So I do appreciate that with the RPGs, with D&D and the other ones that, like, if you don't like all of the elements to it, as long as everybody that you play with agrees on it, go ahead and change that rule.
And in fact, the good thing about most role-playing rule sets is that rule number 1 in every one of them is, if you want to make a change to the rules and your table agrees, then go ahead and do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I remember correctly, in the DMG, one of the I think the first line there is, these rules are a guideline.
Yeah.
They are not set in stone.
Right.
This is this is a game for fun, not for rigidity.
Right. And yet there are subreddits out there for every one of the role-playing games where if you say, this is my house rule, you will spend the next 3 days reading, how dare you do that? The rules as written say this.
Yeah.
I feel like as writers, we're all familiar with that in writing as well. So
Yeah.
Every community has a bit of that toxicity in it. And the important thing is that we look past it. So, Bob, my big question for you then is, you as a RPG writer, do you write your own RPGs? What do you like? Where is your jam in RPG writing?
I am currently building my own campaign world.
Awesome.
That will initially support Pathfinder 2nd edition rule set. It will eventually support AD&D or D&D 5th edition rule set as well. They're very similar, so that's an easy transition. I'm going to look at a couple others too. I've heard Dimmy mention Alternity so many times. I have to go look for it, and just see how that works.
Stay away from Palladium, please. Stay away from Palladium.
And what I'm trying to do is basically build the world system agnostic. I mean, the world is the world. I could take that same world could be a novel, you know, the world for writing, for creative writing. When I go to saying, okay, now let me build an adventure that happens in this world, that's when I have to really pay attention to the game mechanics, more or less. And I say that because, again, in the world, for example, if I were to build a world that didn't have dwarves, nobody would believe it. Nobody. If I'm trying to sell it to the people who kind of play Pathfinder now, I couldn't sell it to them if there's no dwarves there, because I want to be a dwarf fighter. You know, so I am limited somewhat in what I can change and do. I can change things, but I can't take things away too much if I plan on hitting certain game system markets. But I can also make some changes. I'll tell you right now, here's a big one. And again, anybody who's done either Pathfinder or D&D, gnomes in my world are not Fae. They are not first world creatures. They do not have a bond to the first world, to the rest of the Fae creatures. Gnomes, I have always thought that gnomes were more dwarf-like than elf-like. So in my world, the goddess who co-created the elves and the goddess who co-created the dwarves, each took a look at their current work and said, you know what, we could do better. And they sat down over coffee and created the gnomes. So they're kind of a mix in between. And some of the gnomes tend more toward the elven side and some tend more toward the dwarven side.
Yeah.
But they're not magically bound to the first world or whatever that first world actually is. They still have all of the, when it comes down to game mechanics, they still have all of the options and abilities. I just have to explain them differently.
Yeah, I have a world, shoot, the continent is called Caldera, the world is called Belt. And it is a world that I have built with the mindset of I would like other people to write short stories in this, and if people are interested, I would like people to game in this world. So I'm leaving it as open as I possibly can. There's some things that I'm establishing. I haven't done nearly as much world building as I need to in that world. I'm getting to it, I promise.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with my Kerwinia.
Yeah, and I've written several. Let's go several. Several short stories in the world of Bill, and there's basically two different environments. There's the world inside the caldera, which the caldera is named because the continent that most of the stories take place on or near was a volcano, and it exploded. And so we've got large mountainous areas around the entire continent, black sandy beaches because it was a volcano. And then on the inside, you have most of the gods, most of the humans, and some other various magical creatures. And then on the outside of the world, you have a small colony of humans, and then you have the frog people. I don't remember what I decided to call them. You have phoenixes, and you have goose people. I don't remember what I decided to call them either. But
yeah, I'm looking in chat, and it's like Moonflower goes, "There are no goats involved? What WTF is wrong with you?" It's like, but
So I have a question for Bob. Sorry, I'm also posting the closing ceremony should have just started, so I was just trying to get that up on the screen.
Oh, did they just start? Yeah, we should probably jump over there, right?
Oh no, I stay here. My thing keeps going. If you all want to go, you are welcome to. But Bob, I have a question for you first, which actually plays off of what Eli and Siobhan just said as well. Again, coming from this complete novice perspective, I don't know the industry. You say that you are building this off of Pathfinder. But this is something that you market as your own product and is sellable based on that, or is
I
that
certainly
not?
hope so.
Okay, I just wasn't sure because, you know, like if somebody else were to try to write a story that took place, easy example, somebody tried to write a story that took place in Hogwarts, they wouldn't be able to sell that.
Right.
So
No, the reason I'm picking Pathfinder, in fact, again, a little bit of D&D history. When TSR, which is the company that Gygax founded, when they finally went under, they somehow managed to split the rights to the whole D&D franchise, essentially, between Wizards of the Coast and a company called Paizo. All right, and the way they did that, actually, the last thing TSR did was published what's called a system reference document, and basically these are the core rules of the game. Nothing about settings. Nothing. Just here's the rules of the game, and they made it open licensed,
Yep.
so that anybody can take that license and add to it. Now, Paizo. Well, Wizards of the Coast took theirs, and they went, and the first thing they tried to do was create something called D&D 4th edition, which was a rule set that they hoped would let them build an online MMORPG. That failed miserably.
D&D for Dummies, got it.
So they revised the rules again, and now we have 5th edition.
Gotcha.
Paizo created Pathfinder 1st edition. All right, and they said Pathfinder 1st edition and that original D&D 3.5 SRD are essentially identical.
They are.
Right. Pathfinder has added to that tremendously since, but everything game mechanic that they've added, they've written into the SRD. So I'm starting with the 2nd edition SRD, but that SRD literally is complete. All right. They publish a 642-page rule book. Only one chapter in that rule book is not open game license, and that's the chapter that describes the setting that they built. You know, so they kept the copyright on it's a setting called Galarian, the names of the gods, the cities, the towns, everything like that. That's the only thing they kept a copyright to. But all of the other things, everything else about, you know, every ability of every character, every option for building characters, all of that is available as open license. So I can build to that. All right. If I went the D&D route, I end up being tremendously limited. And a lot of people don't realize this, that write things for D&D. Just as a quick example, if you're writing for a cleric, all right, when you're building a cleric, one of the things you define are the quote unquote domains. You can call them portfolios or domains or whatever, that the deities are responsible for. And in the D&D Player's Handbook, they list 7 domains. Only 2 of them are in the SRD. The other 5 are copyright protected. So you can't write for them. So now if you want to build a product and call it D&D 5th edition compatible, you can't write for those 5 domains. And somebody who wants to play one of those domains can't find what they need to do so. I don't have that problem in Pathfinder. I could, as long as I have the whole rule set available to me. Now, on some respects, that makes it harder because now I have to fill in more things. But my first audience won't be disappointed because, you know, they're not going to be missing something they're looking for.
Yeah.
So then with the D&D stuff, is that something where you could, who am I echoing off of? We're getting echoes again.
Are they bad? It could still be me.
They're new. Yeah, and they're in headsets. Oh, that sounds good. Does that sound good with everybody?
Yeah, I'm not hearing the echo anymore.
Okay, good. So is D&D set up so that you could write something and pitch it to them for them to?
Yeah, if I wanted to write D&D and actually access some of that other stuff, there's a thing that Wizards of the Coast owns But in order for me to write for that, I get to keep the rights to my original stuff. I have to acknowledge all their copyright stuff, and they get half the profits.
Yeah.
Okay. That's, it is what it is. I accept that.
Right.
I accept if you're building up of their world, then.
So if I want to do that down the road, then fine. I mean, it's a bigger market. That's the other thing. There's definitely more people playing D&D than there are playing Pathfinder. Although that's starting to change. Pathfinder 2 has a lot of people coming into it. Yeah.
Is this something that you also put your name on? Like for me, I don't know why this is what's coming up in my head, but I'm remembering the old Dragonlance series where you still knew, like Dragonlance had several authors and you still knew who wrote which books. Is that how this works as well? So you could potentially build a name with D&D and then do solo stuff.
It would depend. That would depend on how exactly I end up marketing it. I mean, I'll have the same choices as any author. Okay. I can go full indie. I can go to Paizo, and give them a chunk of the money because they have something similar to what D&D has. I could go. The one difference is Paizo does have a label that I can use that basically says this is Pathfinder compatible. And then as long as I just make sure that I don't use any of their copyright stuff. They'll let me put that tag on my stuff, and still keep it all. But they also won't help me market it.
Yeah.
I know Aaron is planning on actually trying to sell the rule set for and the world of the Toy Soldier Saga to Pathfinder.
Yeah. Eventually, I do hope to codify my house rules and a few modifications. I mean, one of the things I'm doing is I'm play testing, for example, is looking at what things are still clunky. Because the reason Pathfinder 2 is so successful is they did a very good job of streamlining some of the clunky mechanics that both Pathfinder 1 and D&D 5th share. And they've streamlined a lot of them. They didn't get them all. So I'm hoping to get a few more of them, and I might in a few cases. There were a few things that they did a certain way, claiming that they needed to do it for game balance. I'm play testing a few variants to see if they really is that severe, and if it's not, So I will end up with a rule set. Now but I'll do the same thing. The rules will be free. Here's an SR. It'll publish under the Open Gaming license. It'll acknowledge all the work that went before me. It'll have my name on the end of it, and the rule set by itself will be free. Now, do you want to play this in a world that was built for these rules? Here, $11.95, and here's the PDF for my world.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to learn more about the dwarves? $5.95, and here's the PDF on everything you want to know about dwarves in my world.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the marketing approach I plan on going down. And I say PDF, but of course, if people want to buy hard, that's another thing. You can get away with PDFs, with cheap PDFs that are just text in this market. But if you want to up the price of the PDFs, and certainly if you want to do anything on print, you need to spend a ton of money on artwork.
Yes.
You cannot publish a book that has no art in it. I mean, here's an example. This is one of the D&D books, the current D&D books. Almost every page is going to at least have something like that. There are very few pages that look like this one. Because if there's more than 2 or 3 of these in a row, people don't read it.
And I noticed that that's a hardcover. Is that the industry standard now? Because again, I remember them being magazines when I was little. Oh
no, because you put all the money into the art, all right, it's also high quality paper because you're buying it for the art.
Gotcha.
The typical hardcover rule book sells for between $50 and $70.
Yep.
Ooh.
By the way, and they can get stupid. By the way, here.
Oh yeah.
This is the rule book for a Star Wars game.
Okay, so it makes sense that it's $50 to $75. I accept that.
As big as this book is, This print is so small I can't read it without.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Oh, wow, but
tiny.
it's a lot of pretty pictures right there.
But again, there's art on every page. All right.
Yeah.
So before I go to real publishing, I need to find an artist because I can't do it.
Mhm.
All right. So yes, there will be a Kickstarter, and yes, that Kickstarter will pay for the artist, and mostly the artist. I mean, I can do the page layouts. I can get everything ready to go once I have the art. But I'm going to need, if I want to publish let's say a 50-page guide on the world, I'm going to need 40 to 70 pieces of art. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big investment right there.
I mean, some large, some small, some will just be page border type stuff. There'll need to be a full cover, of course, and 1 or 2 full page things. But it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eli had mentioned that what they're doing is developing a world that both has novels, has short stories. With my words are getting tongue-tied. I didn't want to say novels specifically and pinpoint a length on it, but you have like written works as well as potentially building it into an RPG. And then again, I did mention Dragonlance, which was a
I haven't
novelization
ruled
of
out.
D&D.
I haven't ruled out the creative writing option either.
Yeah.
And do you do that? Are you?
I have one short story that's if you count World Anvil, it's published, but
Yeah.
But is that something that you would do yourself as well? Is that an area where do you also?
I would dabble at it. But if somebody came to me and said, "I really love your world and I'd like to write whatever," I would probably say, as long as I can just make sure you're not going against, that you're not putting something into the world that I'm going to have trouble dealing with down the road.
Yeah.
Go for it. Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm approaching it, but from the other direction. So Bob is primarily focused on game mechanics. I'm primarily focused on fiction mechanics. But if somebody comes into my world and says, I really like this, I'd like to game in this setting, I'd be like, okay, that's fine with me. Here's some of the rules that you're going to have to follow. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because my game world that I'm working on, magic goes up to level 6 spells that a single person can cast. Anything beyond that, it takes a group effort. Because at that point, you're getting into... Because my magic is based on music.
That makes sense.
So, of course, and it's set in the Georgian era.
Oh, that world. Okay, yes.
Oh, but by the way, looking at the chat, hello Moonflower, how's it going?
Hi,
Moonflower
Moonflower.
is one of my play testers. So and they say, they bought the Pathfinder rule book that was in a reduced size paperback, and it was still $30
And half price.
So, and that was half price. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
was it
crazy to-
Deslicat? Was it Deslicat or Moonflower who asked what it was with me and geese?
It was, in fact, Moonflower. What is
All
with
right.
you and geese?
I'm not 100% certain, but I'm going to guess it has something to do with a very small Eli who was attacked by a goose.
Oh, geese are terrifying. Don't.
They're awful.
I can see that.
Oh,
I'm
geese
also
are
terrified
evil.
of horses.
Yeah.
You got to accept that.
Geese are the closest descendants of velociraptors that live on this world.
Yeah.
That conversation, we have had that. Oh no, you were here for that conversation, right? You were just in chat then.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to spread the conversation a bit, Eli, we got through about half of your panels.
Right.
You said you had 9 panels, and I think
I did have 9 panels.
you at least mentioned 5 of them.
Yeah, there's 4.
I'd like to hear some other stuff, and we'll just bounce the conversation around, but spreading the wings, but not the geese wings.
It's here. We got up to mythology, which takes us to about 5 of my panels. And then I had Kickstarter for writers.
Okay.
With Sable and Aaron.
Yeah, I wanted to see that one, but I was in a panel at the time, so.
Understandable. Yeah.
That was after the Game of Tomes panel,
Yeah.
which I ended up hosting, even though AG was supposed to be the host, because she was having Twitch problems.
We found out what that was this morning. I will tell you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all had, I feel like we did really well 2 days in a row with technical difficulties. And so today was the day that we had to have
mhm.
Yeah,
every technical difficulty that ever difficulted.
but
Yeah.
I think but hats off to everybody that was working on it, because I don't
Yeah.
think anything failed.
No,
Right?
No.
Everything
all the
was dealt
panels
with.
went off,
Yeah.
maybe a little late, maybe not without a couple of hitches, but all the panels went up.
Yeah.
The panel that I did early this morning was with Siobhan. It was about trans and NB characters.
Oh, interesting.
And we actually went over on that one because there was a lot to encompass.
And we barely even touched that surface either.
Yeah, that needs to be a couple of panels because there's a lot.
Yep.
And we didn't actually cover the entire gender spectrum. We had most people. We had a couple of AMAB.
We had 2 AMAB non-binaries.
Yeah.
2 AMAB transgender women, 2 AFAB non-binaries, and an AFAB FTM.
Yes. Which doesn't include agender, doesn't include demigender, doesn't
Quasi-gender.
Quasi-gender. I'm not sure which variety of non-binary Sherry is, but we could have just a non-binary panel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that alone is a big spectrum in its own right.
Oh, well, it's huge.
Here's the thing. Transgender is a umbrella term.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Non-binary is an umbrella term inside the transgender umbrella term.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm demisexual, which obviously doesn't have anything to do with gender, but like I understand that so much because like demisexual is such like it's first of all it's not a very well known term.
No,
like certainly it's kind of the very bottom of like the known things. A lot of times, I pretty much have to go with gray ace for anybody to have any concept of what I'm saying. But like there are so many nuances in it that are like completely unexplored, and what demisexuality to one person who identifies as such could most likely be completely unrelated to how somebody else uses that term for themselves. So yeah, I get that from a slightly different perspective, how complicated it can be trying to explain it, and then also to make sure that you are giving it a fair shake when you're writing about it, even as you deal with the fact that there is so much encompassed in that term.
Well, because the thing is asexual is an umbrella term, honestly.
Yeah,
because it covers your repulsed by sex asexuals, your demisexual, your gray ace, and a couple others, and I don't remember them all because there's so many, right?
Yeah.
And it was covered in the panel that another panel I ended up hosting that was supposed to be AG's.
Yeah. That's
with the misrepresentation of ace and bi in media.
Yeah, that's the next panel that I was on. I was on the ADHD and writing panel, which AG was supposed to host, and then Writer's CONduit ended up taking it over. And that's where we figured out what was going on with AG. She's using slobs, and it is not having a good day.
Oh.
I was using slobs with no problem.
Yeah,
that's why I was excited for this particular point in my life, being able to use StreamYard, because StreamYard is basically does not fail. It's basic. This is what you get. Yeah. You can share a single screen. You can pop the messages up on the screen, and that is it. But it does not fail.
Yeah,
I'm going to suggest you look into OBS Ninja, which works with OBS Studio.
Yeah.
All right. OBS Studio is stable and works. I started with OBS Studio because I started doing YouTube stuff when I first started doing any kind of online.
That's the other nice thing with StreamYard is that I can dual stream on YouTube, and
you can from OBS Studio as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I started streaming once I joined World Anvil, when I started with the stream, when I started Twitch streaming, everybody was raving about Streamlabs and all these cool things you could do with it. So I switched over. 2 months later, I switched back.
Yeah.
But there's a product called OBS Ninja, and the beauty of that is if you're hosting, each individual person that comes in, you send out one invite code and people come in.
Mhm.
Each one of those people gets their own URL that you're concerned with. So what you can map up on your OBS Studio screen, the individual URLs, and you don't have to play games with resizing or that, you build the window once, put it on your OBS Studio where you want it, and then you say, this is connected to this URL.
Yeah.
When that person logs in, there they are. And if they drop out, it doesn't resize everything else. I've done that. I've played that game with Zoom. You get everybody into a Zoom call and you try to steal the individual captures and it all works fine until somebody's call drops.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have 2/3 of everybody else scattered around.
We have that issue today because we had to use Discord and my
Discord will
camera
do it
kept flickering. So every time my camera went out, everything got shuffled again.
Yeah. Now, if you're doing something like a panel, you could get away with this because that's all you really need to have on the screen is all of the people. But if I'm streaming a game, for example,
this doesn't work for
I
that.
need to have the people in small frames on the bottom of the screen so that I have the rest of the panel available for something else.
Like a map.
Right.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden one of those people disappears from my Zoom call, the other 3 are all messed up. And now I got to stop and fix them all.
Will that keep working if the host's connection drops? Because that's another perk of StreamYard. If I vanish right now, you all can keep going forever.
Actually, Zoom does.
Yeah, Zoom does.
Zoom can. It depends on how you leave. If you're the host,
it does depend on the configuration.
OBS Ninja should still continue to work because the meeting itself exists on the net, on the web. All right. As a host, you get a multi-panel view. Everybody else gets a multi-panel view of the conference. But even your multi-panel view is actually, in this case, it would be 4 independent URLs.
Yeah.
Each of which I can map to a frame that I've already sized. And if Eli, for example, were to drop out, her screen would go black, of course, but the other 3 would still be exactly the way they were.
Yeah.
And if she came back, she'd pop right back in too. That's the other beauty because it kind of keeps track of who came from where and goes where. So you getting somebody back into a screen is easy if there's problems.
Right.
Yeah, I would strongly suggest if we have time to, first of all, make sure that none of our hosts are using slobs.
Yeah.
And
that we standardize on the conference mechanism. I don't care what conference mechanism we pick.
Yeah, because we were kind of all
standardize on it because that was the thing driving this morning. Bigfoot, he's hosting the map making channel. He hosted the map making conference. It was immediately after the RPG conference. So I knew I couldn't do the, join the conference 15 minutes early and let's get all our tech stuff out of the way. All right. He didn't publish the Zoom meeting until an hour before his panel started.
That's not good. No.
So, and he just wasn't, he just wasn't checking the Discord. And there were 3 or 4 people, yo, hey, how are we going to do this?
The first night I didn't get my first stream's link until like 20 minutes before the stream was supposed to start. No. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And I was the contact for the other panelists. The other panelists and the host were not connected at all. So like the other panelist is like, do you have a link? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know.
Now, by the same token, yesterday I had 2 panels that were again back to back. Kahuna hosted the second one. Kahuna uses OBS Ninja.
Yes.
So now I've done other things with him on Ninja as well. So I was comfortable. I didn't have any problem. When he says, okay, use this, but he had the whole thing set up without me ever having to log in to test anything.
Yeah.
So literally, I came off my one conference, clicked the link to get into his conference, and I was on his screen in his panel.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So.
Yep. I mean, I was using Google Meet for all mine. I sent out my invitations like hours in advance.
Yeah. I only
Yeah, we
hosted
had-
one, but I used Google Meets too, because it had the closed captioning. That was
Exactly.
We had my writing consent panel. We had a whole meltdown because Google Meet wasn't working for one person, and then Discord wasn't working for the next person, and then we ended up using Zoom, but even Zoom was failing for one of the people, and we just had to do our best at it. So that's another problem with relying on these kind of third party to integrate into something else, which again is why I like StreamYard, because it's the two aspects done. It just is limited in its capabilities, but having to like go from one meeting into another streaming service, like I feel like it's just another way that things can get messed up. And all of these meeting services seem to be fairly unreliable. Like it seems like there's a lot of technical difficulties. Discord actually was a complete meltdown for me as well. So it just was in a different panel. So yeah, I don't know how you solve it when you're talking about this many hosts.
Yeah.
Because we don't all have the same access to things, but it is something that's going to have to.
If you have enough advance notice, you can say, hosts will use OBS Studio.
Yeah.
If you don't have it and don't want it, then you're not hosting. Just,
is it a free
we'll find somebody who else will.
Oh yeah, it's free. It's free.
Oh, it is.
OBS Studio is free. Yeah. By the way, yeah.
Yeah, I use OBS Live, which is OBS.
Yeah, I use Live as well on top of Studio, and I use Stream Elements to do all of the things that slobs would used to do for me. Like you want the little fancy window that does the explosion of emotes when somebody raids.
Yeah, exactly.
Stream Elements gives you all of those things. Stream Elements. If you're a person who now Streamlabs will do this too, admittedly, but if you're a person that always broadcasts from exactly the same physical device, it almost doesn't matter what you use. But if sometimes you're on your laptop and sometimes you're on your desktop and sometimes you're on your phone even, OBS what Stream Elements lets you do, Stream Elements lets you store most of your overlays on the web. And instead of having the little window for my timer and the little window for my logo and the little window for my camera and the little, all of that in OBS Studio, you can put all of that on Stream Elements. And now your OBS panel has maybe 3 or 4 inputs. If you have to jump to another system, all you need to do is grab the URL from Stream Elements, and you have exactly the same layout that you had if you were on your desktop.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will be putting out, I guess all of us, since we're panelists, it's easy for us to talk to the organizers. But I hopefully will have some sessions in the future. Obviously, this was the first year, and we knew that things weren't going to go perfect because they never do. I'm not from the con industry, but I did work the music festival industry for a decade. So this stuff happens, and I'm used to it. But hopefully, we'll tomorrow we'll start anew for 2022, and we'll be able to hopefully get this stuff worked out.
I know the lady
I'm
writes.
going to go AFK for just a moment, but keep talking. I just need a quick restroom break.
I know the lady writes plans on starting the advertising campaign tomorrow.
Yes, yes, she does. And Laan is probably right behind her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and if you look at the future panels in Discord, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of ideas. And some of the ideas are even yes, this panel, but longer. because I know I did that for the mythology. Is like it needs to be longer, and it might need to be split into two because we did kind of diverge onto religion, which is tied very closely with mythology. But I feel like we need a panel on religion in writing, and then another panel on using mythology in writing.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest too that we start early to recruit a bigger tech staff.
Yes.
So for two reasons. One, so that the tech staff can get a break now and then. And two, so that while they're still getting those breaks, we can cover a little more time space.
Yeah.
I did hear a few wistful, I won't say complaints, but wistful comments from the Australia group.
Yeah.
That everything was in the middle of their night. You know, there was very, very little that hit the Australia time zone conveniently.
Right.
I was kind of surprised, in fact, to see yesterday and today things really didn't get started until noon, 1 o'clock on East Coast time. This is a weekend. We could have started at 10.
Oh yeah.
And I think we can put together I think with everything that we're seeing, we can put together a panel list with a more expanded schedule.
Yeah.
But as we do that, we need to plan on having, let's say, 2 shifts or more of tech support.
Yeah, I agree.
So that La'an doesn't have to be up for 72 hours.
Yeah, poor La'an. I feel so bad for her. And Mez too, because Mez was right there with her.
But we need to, and this is what we learn. Okay, La'an, what did you spend most of your time doing? Okay, we need 3 of you for next time.
Yeah, exactly.
And these are your hours, and we'll have an hour overlap where somebody else picks up. You get to explain to them what's going on and what's broken and what needs to be fixed, and then you go to bed and they take over.
Who is this? I want to know. Like what is?
Oh, we're saying for next year, we can definitely expand the panel schedule, but while doing that, we need to expand the tech support staff and support it with a mind toward putting shifts out.
Yeah.
So that we don't need La'an staying up for 72 hours because, she got some naps in between because there was some downtimes, but but instead of her having to cover every panel time, whether we do it one day at a time or like I said, or just, you got an 8-hour shift and somebody else has an 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
Well, it should also be something where there's multiple people on it, even if it's just 2, just in case multiple things happen at the same time. So having an overlap in schedules is
right. I think we have enough. I think that we have enough people with the tech skills, that can support that. We just have to get commitments from them to do it. And we have to plan on staffing a team rather than saying, "Oh, we got that covered. La'an is doing it."
Yeah,
because that's kind of what happened this year. I mean, and admittedly, it was the first year. It was a small group that started it, but it started like every other small group. Okay, I got this, you got that, you got that, you got that.
Yeah.
And nobody built a staff.
The other thing I'm thinking.
So now you're stuck doing everything for 3 days in your niche,
Yeah.
And by the time everybody realized that we didn't have enough staff, everybody who was on staff was too overloaded to be able to address it. And I understand that. I understand why they weren't accepting the help that was being offered to them, because there is that point where you're so deep in the trenches that it's hard to even it's easier
get your head up to see what's going on.
All of this instead of figuring out what element I can let go of. So I get where that issue came from.
Another thing I was thinking about is we should have a backup host for each panel.
That's a good idea. Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the backup host has to be on the panel.
A backup host for each panel and a backup lead for each panel.
Yes.
And the lead and the backup should at least a day or 2 before the panels, if not longer, go over a question. I don't want to call it a script, but
just
outline.
Here's things we'd like to talk about.
An outline.
And the whole panel should actually get that question and topic list, because I'll tell you, the RPG writing, until I found out I was the lead, I'm sitting around saying, I can't prepare for this because I don't know, I have no idea what direction he's going to take it in.
Yeah.
And I could see 3 or 4 different directions. So what am I going to focus, So, okay, I'll wing it. And then Coffee says, no, you're not winging it. You're running it.
My very first panel, I was, for a while there, I was the only person on it, and I was also the streamer for it, and it was going to be a one-man show. And I'm pretty flexible, and again, I know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, so I roll with the punches really well, and I got some stuff prepared. And then I mentioned it to a writer friend of mine who also does cons, and I hadn't even thought of it. We were just chit-chatting, but I mentioned that I was by myself, and she said, oh, well, so you're not like completely by yourself. I'll come join you. And I'm like, oh, cool. We are 3 days in advance, but like, this will be good that I have another person to have this conversation with. And then out of the blue, suddenly I've got somebody else to like host and lead. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what we're doing now, but whatever happens when we get into it, I have to
laugh because I have to laugh because the you're the lead thing that Coffee hit me with today was actually the second surprise she hit me with in this conference.
Yeah.
The first one, at least I had a couple days notice on the other one though. She recruited me a while ago for the Finding Your Online Community panel. But she didn't say exactly why or what. It was just, okay, there, it sounds like an interesting, sure, why not? When the schedule got published, if you look at the panel description for that one, and you'll see coffee quills for the words, so-and-so, Twitch Writers Network, so-and-so, this particular group. I got World Anvil.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, so I'm the one that has to represent the 1.5 million users.
Yeah.
That's not hard. That's easy.
Unofficially. Because,
unofficially. Yeah.
I didn't know until Friday. And again, like, I cannot stress enough. And I feel like I am voicing the sentiment of all of us that, like, we know exactly why the things didn't go perfect this time. And it's not at all bashing, just like the funny things that happened because trying to get all of this together. But I had no idea until Friday, until like 2 hours before everything started, that I was hosting last night's and this current chilling chat. Like, I guess I need to get, and like before that, I wasn't hosting anything. So I didn't have anything set up. I didn't have like my OBS worked out or anything. It's very rare that I use it because I usually use StreamYard. I usually don't need to use something else. So like there was definitely that like last minute moment of like, okay, just get everything set up. You're fine. You know how to do this.
Yeah. Friday morning, funny story. I got a schedule from Author Goddess, or mine was from Author Goddess, but we all got schedules saying you're going to be here, etc.
By the way, I still haven't gotten my schedule. Author Goddess sent me the email.
Okay.
And it had in it an image of the icon of a PDF file, but it didn't have the link behind it.
Oh no!
I actually got the PDF sent separately because she sent me the email thing and said, okay, here's all the stuff that you need for your panels that you're on, that you're hosting or you're leading or you're whatever. Here's everything that you need to know. And then she said, the embed didn't work. Here's a PDF of your schedule. And I looked at the schedule, and I looked at my schedule on CONduit, and I went, something's not adding up. Because I had the chill-in chats from just after our worst pieces all the way to the end of the con. And I happened to be awake during, I think it was on stream. I went into on stream, and Mez was there, and I said, I have some questions about the schedule because these two are not adding. And I said, so am I actually hosting the chill and chat for the last 5 hours of the con? And Mez went, oh, No, you're not.
Yeah.
And because I live in Atlanta,
Coffee's here, by the way. She's in the chat.
Yeah.
They're in the
Yeah.
chat. Hello, Coffee. I love you, Coffee.
Yes, Coffee, you are amazing. The planning
Oh, yeah.
committee did great.
Oh, they did an amazing job.
Yeah,
They did.
Yeah.
The hiccups that we've had are so minor compared to what they
Exactly.
could be.
Yep.
Not only are they minor, but they're perfectly attributable to first
Twitch.
time around.
Yeah, Twitch too.
well, that's another
You know.
thing is that the technological stuff, there's only so much you can do that
Exactly.
anybody can do to prepare for that. So, like, that's
Right.
the
But,
important thing is that we were able to get everything going.
what's important is that we remember all the glitches, that we record all the
Mhm.
glitches now and address them so that they don't happen again. I mean, that's
Which is why I
Yeah.
said having a backup host or backup
Yeah.
lead.
right. Backup host, backup lead, and a little more advanced. And like I said, if we could standardize on tech, that would actually help.
Yeah.
It would help the tech support people too.
Yeah.
Or at least if they know what you're using.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, OBS Studio, OBS Ninja, both free.
Yeah.
So you know what? You want to host? Get them.
Yeah. I didn't
And
know
that's
that I
it
was
for
going
me.
to.
Chatbots were completely unfamiliar to me. I've never used them before. I'm fairly new to Twitch. Like my community is YouTube. So a lot of this stuff was unfamiliar to me. And that would have been something that, again, like things just, it's really hard to also pace things to prepare properly in advance for something like this. It takes a few years normally to figure out like what your milestone points need to be. But so for me, definitely, or for like future people who don't now have hosting experience, definitely getting more information about what software to use. And if we are being flexible about what software, at least say, if you don't already have something for this, here is a direction to go in, because I had no idea how chatbots even exist before this. I have the Pretzel app, and I understood how that worked, but I ended up getting Moobot, and I love it. I made the stupidest
Moobot's good,
ever, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the way,
is good.
Moonflower has a comment and a question.
Yes.
awesome.
The comment: we should also start thinking about options for monetization.
That's a good point.
We can't expect the staff to work for free forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one, when is the next time you guys are going to be writing? AKA, how long of a break do you need after this very large event?
I am taking tomorrow off. I'm taking tomorrow off.
I'm writing on my stream. I guess it's tonight now, because it starts at midnight.
I'll be doing my World Anvil homework tomorrow. For the last summer camp homework, I will be streaming on Tuesday morning like I normally do.
I don't normally stream on Tuesdays, so.
Yeah, I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and Sundays rather. I took today off because if I had my normal stream, that would have been the 2 hours right before my panels. So that would have been it was bad enough as it was.
I think I had a panel during my usual stream time. In fact, I think I had two.
Yeah, I'm actually streaming twice this coming Thursday because I'm doing my normal stream at 10 in the morning Eastern time. But Thursday is July 1st, and 2 hours after I finish, summer camp starts.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was hopeful. By the way, that's also my 1 year streaming anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
My 1 year streaming anniversary just happens to be on the 21st of July.
I have no idea when mine is.
I don't either.
2 hours after World Anvil is done, I'm going to be streaming again for 2 hours. And in that 2 hours, I will be unpacking the first 10 prompts for everybody.
So
we'll go through the 10 prompts and see what we can do with them and come up with ideas and all that kind of good stuff and talk about them and what you can do.
And sure. I've got a question for everybody because that little conversation right there made me think of it. So first of all, I am in the middle of doing 100 erotic shorts in 100 days. So I did yesterday. I only got about a quarter of a short written. So that's going to get finished once I'm done here in about an hour and a half. So that is what I'm going to be writing again is once this is done and I have eaten something. But question for you guys, what got y'all into streaming? Like why, like actually like being the person on camera?
World Anvil Summer
Camp.
That's their answer. My answer actually is a little different. It was I used to be a municipal liaison for National Novel Writing Month. I retired as of December 1st of last year because I'd been doing it for 5 years, and I was just like, I need to stop. So I emailed the head of the volunteers. I emailed her on Sarah Mackey. I emailed her on December 1st and said, so here's been my 2020 and I need to retire. And she said, oh my Lord, are you okay? Please retire. Please rest. Please feel better. And I said, by the way, Mr. Twinkle, my husband, says I'm not allowed to come back for a minimum of 2 years. So, but before I retired, there was an event being put together by people who were municipal liaisons and other volunteers called 100 Hours of Writing on Twitch.
Yeah, that is happening. Keep going, and I'll tell you when it's happening this month.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for it, but yeah, 100 Hours of Writing on Twitch, also known as Weekend of Writing Wildly or something. I don't remember what they call it during camp. Yeah. But I signed up for 100 Hours of Writing on Twitch. I did crazy shifts. They kept saying, Twinkle, do you sleep? And my answer was, not really. But I did a few test streams because I wanted to make sure that my software was going to work. I did use Streamlabs a little bit. I went into Slobs and I stayed there for a while. Slobs started going downhill and I went to OBS Live just a few months ago. But I got started because of 100 Hours of Writing on Twitch, and then I kept going because of Game of Tomes and the World Anvil community.
Oh yeah,
you sucked me in, Siobhan. You did.
This week or this month, good grief, it's going to be July 9th to the 11th. And I will be hosting, I'm hosting 2 of them actually. I don't do World Anvil. I'm sorry.
No worries.
No worries.
Not a requirement.
You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Yes.
You will eventually figure out just how useful World Anvil can be.
Oh, it's incredibly useful and distracting. I like procrastination.
I gotta find an image for this article.
I feel like that's part of why I cut my teeth on a Write or Die. And I know, like, everything I know about, like, getting that damn story out is from watching Write or Die threaten to kill me by taking my words away. So I feel like at some point I'll probably get into World Anvil, and I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
I, too, am currently an ML. I was Atlanta's ML for 4 years, and then
we probably know each other then, sort of vaguely.
What region are you?
I was California elsewhere. Twinkle Toes the Berserker.
I do know your name. Yeah. I'm La Pixie Sticks because I've been doing this since 2002. I've been doing it since 2004 when I came up with the name La Pixie Sticks and didn't think it was going to be like the rest of my life. But yeah, so I was the ML of Atlanta for 4 years before I realized that the biggest problem with Atlanta is that it was way too big. So I made a new region, which is Marietta, Kennesaw, which is the suburbs of Atlanta, the northwest corner suburbs. So I'm there now, but the reason, this is really crazy, but the reason that I do this is because my writing partner used to live in Marietta, where I live, and she moved up to Raleigh, and we had been meeting every week to write together. And then when she moved, we were like, well, we still want to do this together, but like, you know, we have to figure out some other way of doing it. And, you know, Nano did have the virtual write-ins at that point. And
Right.
I said, well, we can, if we're doing this, we may as well leave it open for anybody else who wants to join.
Right.
So we did it on YouTube. We fought OBS for ages before we discovered the actual AuthorTuber community. And most of the AuthorTube community uses StreamYard. And for what we were doing, where it was just our two heads and occasionally a timer, StreamYard like made life so much easier for us.
Yeah.
But that's how I got into it.
And
really
StreamYard, I got started using StreamYard because my internet was crap.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's
terrible.
great for that.
It was awful. It was so bad. They'd replaced the lines since then, so I can actually stream on a regular streaming software.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was on streams long before I was actually a streamer. Because I was in a gaming stream. Because when COVID hit and our gaming group couldn't get together, we started streaming the game so that people could see it.
Right.
That voiceovers?
Yep.
Yeah.
We were the opposite. We went a real weird way, and we had no idea. We had no idea that these communities existed on YouTube and on Twitch until we were already doing this. So we built our fan bases in a real weird way.
I literally I joined World Anvil on June the 12th of last year. And everybody was already in the middle of summer camp hype, you know, because summer camp is coming and blah, 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 you know. So I watched, you know, I got into the Discord and it was summer camp. I watched the, you know, I did get onto Twitch to watch the Janet and Dimmy show, you know, for their things. And again, it was summer camp. And I noticed that there were a couple, because at the time there weren't that many, but there were a handful. Isaac Tom. Isaac Tom was the first World Anvil streamer I watched that wasn't Janet and Dimmy. And, you know, I just popped into their stream once and, oh, wow, they're just writing stuff and talking about it. And this looks like fun. And, you know, I got myself all set up to do this YouTube crap 6 months ago, and I'm not doing too much of that anymore. So Twitch should be, you know, what the hell? I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So on July 1st, summer camp is here. Let's work on a prompt. And
and here we are.
It's a year later.
Yeah. 100 hours of writing on Twitch in November, rated coffee quills at the very end. And I was there for that. And that is how I got dragged into Game of Tomes. And I said, I like it here. I'm very comfortable. I'm staying.
Well, yeah, because
it
was coffee, Sable, myself.
Yeah, July and August, though, it was kind of magical in the World Anvil community because a bunch of people started streaming, but it was still a small group. But you know, they are what we call the Anvilite Streamer Core, which now has like 60 or 70 or somewhere in
Something like
70s numbers. But back then, it was still the core didn't exist. It was maybe there were 4 or 5 of us, but we were all trying to help each other get to affiliate. And you know, I'd start a stream, like I ran one stream after, you know, I deliberately modified the schedule so that I'd be right after World Anvil, and World Anvil rated me with 100 people.
Nice.
You know, and most importantly, Lorraine was one of them.
Oh God, Lorraine and her sub bombs.
All of a sudden, I had 12 subs. You know, I have 2 now.
I just got affiliate today.
Congratulations!
Yesterday's Chill and Chat, and I was about to lose a stream that had like 0.0 viewers. Everything aligned, and I am now affiliate.
Yeah, but we
Congratulations.
last July and August, we all did this big push to get everybody to affiliate, and we probably got about 25 people to affiliate
awesome.
in under 30 days.
Yeah.
You know,
100 hours of writing on Twitch is how I got to affiliate. That, and I strategically went on Facebook because I needed 3 people. I was like, who's got a Twitch account? Follow me.
100 hours almost got me there, and like things did not quite align. So I got myself up to like 2.9, and then it dropped off of my charts, and I went back down, and I slowly built myself up, and I was at 2.5, and then after yesterday's stream, I went over the edge. Woo!
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, and we still do that when somebody wants to get into the core. Or somebody starts up, hey, I'm just streaming now. All of us will do everything we can to get them get them the followers. And it's not just the followers. You also then have to get, they need what? I think an average of 10 viewers for a month or something like that, or
it's 3,
10
and that's
viewers
what
during their streams for a month.
That was what caught me up.
Yeah.
The hours of streaming is.
Yeah,
the hours of streaming is just hours of streaming. That's up to you to do.
8 hours of streaming, an average of 3 viewers per stream, and streaming on 7 different days.
Right.
Yeah. In a month.
In a month.
And
I was affiliate.
50 follows.
Yeah.
I was at affiliate in my first week.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was an affiliate during. I was an affiliate during 100 hours of writing on Twitch. I needed the followers. That was the only thing I was missing. And I did that through Facebook because I had that option. But it was 100 hours of writing on Twitch that got me there in the first place, to the point where I could even think about making affiliate. And that was because there were a couple of people who were like, I'm having tech problems. I'm having a migraine. I'm having whatever was the problem. And I said, I can take your shift.
Yeah.
You're still doing that. And we're still telling you, no.
Yeah. And I need people to tell me no, because I have ADHD and I'm very excitable. And I will say, I can do this thing that I totally shouldn't be doing.
I mean, that's why I was actually limited, because I do the same thing and I don't sleep.
Yeah. I had 2 hours of sleep last night.
You're fine.
I got an hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, for me, it was the hitting that 3 per view or 3 per stream, because I was already, just from my YouTube stuff, I was streaming every day for a while there, but because I didn't have the viewers at the beginning on Twitch, I just had a whole bunch of basically 0 streams on Twitch that eventually I had to figure out, well, these time slots, I'm not going to be getting viewers. So I just shouldn't be streaming on Twitch at those times. And then that was how I was finally able to build it up. But I had done enough at that point to get the followers. I just needed to get the viewers up.
All right, so Chloe, in chat, Moon's asking you a question. Should we do expense to help you make that goal?
No, I will absolutely get that done tonight. It will only take me about an hour to finish that short story, but thank you.
But I mean, the thing is with me, the time I chose was just when I started was 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, that's the only gap in the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's when they started doing the, and because
I still miss, by the way, Siobhan, I still miss my half hour of sailor shanties.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to get up earlier.
Yeah.
Is there a replay for them?
There is the VODs, of course.
Yeah. I mean, Siobhan was doing 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. their time. But I'm 3 hours early. I'm East Coast, they're West Coast. And I'd get up at 7 o'clock, grab my cup of coffee, sit on the porch and tune into Siobhan. And catch the sailor shanty music for
Yeah.
Also, really quickly for Moonflower, no, it is 6 p.m. on the East Coast.
No.
And 3 p.m. right for Siobhan?
It is 3 p.m. for me right now. But what Moon is asking is, you're kidding. you're at 3 a.m. now, as in I start at 3 a.m. their
Oh,
time.
got it. Thank you. I misread things a lot.
I can
Yeah, 'cause-
adjust my time and date back to Pacific instead of UTC.
I feel like I used.
I'm getting
to,
very
when
good
I
at that
first-
conversion in my head now. Actually,
So am
I
I.
am too, yeah.
Well, I mean,
When I first left my job, I was a cake decorator for many years, and that is a job that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning at the latest. So when I left that job, I was streaming at 8 a.m. Most days, and I found that to be a fairly decent time slot. So just because you were getting people that are in different hours or in different countries, and our time zones don't work, like our popular time zones don't necessarily work for them.
Yeah.
So I feel like you probably do okay with that 3 a.m., right? Because that would
I did.
be
I had
6
all
a.m.
the European,
Mhm.
the Asian, and the Australians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Unfortunately, the North Americans were going, but it's too early.
yeah. Sable and I often talk about the fact that we obviously have bad nights when one or both of us shows up in Writer Greg. Writer Greg streams from 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If I'm showing up in Greg's stream, something's wrong.
Coffee Quills and I definitely have like a bit of a bouncing back and forth, because it will be early morning and it will be late night depending on which side that we are on, and that's the only time we ever catch each other's streams is when we're like kind of on the wrong side of things.
Yeah.
The only time I can guarantee catching coffee is nights that I have an RPG game.
Mhm.
I'll be finishing up, and I can't just, after I finish a game session, whether I'm GMing or playing, I can't just go to bed.
Oh,
I have to kind of wind down a little bit, and
Coffee streams
coffee's
are nice
on
and
good.
relaxing.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, my panels last night were actually 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., then 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
And those
Yeah, it
were
was supposed to go to 5, and then we went over.
And those were the ace and bisexual, and then the transgender, and, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were too early for me, because as much as I used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I am a full-time writer now, so I get up when I feel like it now.
I'm a full-time writer
my
now,
alarm went off for
too.
that, and I was like, I'm not. No, I'll get
Okay, I have a technical question. It is now past 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes.
The closing ceremonies are nominally over. I have a feeling they might well be running over. I don't know. I haven't looked. But
Yeah.
does that mean that the conference is completely done? Or I noticed on the schedule there's a closing conference or something in another 4 or 5 hours. I don't know if that's a leftover.
Oh, I don't know.
That's the end of the con.
Yeah.
But the chill and chat goes beyond the end of the conference.
I have another hour here.
Yes.
And I'm checking now to see if that is still going, and
it is.
It is still going. Yes.
Yeah.
Is Sable on screen?
There? She is.
Yes.
Hopefully she's celebrating.
Yeah, because her Kickstarter got funded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It looks like they are.
Her Kickstarter got funded. Her Kickstarter got funded while she was doing the indie versus traditional publishing.
Oh, no kidding!
I was in that. I was about to say something.
I went on. I jumped over to the Kickstarter and saw that she was $18 US short of the goal at that point. So I put something in the chat.
Then I dropped the Kickstarter.
Come on, people, support your local writer. Sable's got $18 to go on Kickstarter. Then Siobhan, you put the link in because I didn't, thankfully.
Yep.
And then I checked 5 minutes later, she was $1 over.
Excellent.
So so at that point she was trying to finish up because she was already running late. So in order to get her attention, I posted. They were still doing questions. So I posted a question. Sable, are you happy that you now have a 100% Kickstarter? That's how she found out.
And she just froze.
Yeah. I was one of the panelists at the time. I had an answer to the question, and then everything got like so sidetracked by that I was like, I don't need to answer that question. So my answer to that question is, if you do want to go traditional instead of self-publishing, be aware that you've got like a 2-year minimum from the completion of your story before you actually get that book as a finished and for sale book in your hand.
I did this one real fast.
I can literally have a book published in 2 days on Amazon just because they have to check it before it will go.
Yeah,
live.
exactly. This one I did through Ingram Spark. I did a Kickstarter in April. This published in May. I decided, what was it, February or January, that I was going to do this, Siobhan?
February.
Yeah, February. In February, I decided, I have 13 short stories and 39 poems. I'm going to publish a book.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody to not pursue traditional, but that is something that you should. I feel like a lot of people don't understand how long that time frame really is. That 2 years really is the minimum, and that's if things go well. It could take you 2 years just to get an agent, and that's an agent that you potentially solicit today. It could still be 2 years before you actually get that agent. So absolutely, if you want to pursue traditional, go for it, but that is something to keep in mind, that you're a long way away.
This one took a little longer, but this one's a novel. That is short stories. Those are easier to edit. And there was at least one where I traded Sable's channel points for edits.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Reaper, on the other hand, is a lovely book that I worked very hard on, and it sat there for 3 years before I had revised and edited and gotten the cover art and done the formatting and all of the other various things that you need to do for indie publishing. And then there's Guardian, which is also going to be 3 years. And then there's Avadis, which we don't know. It might come out in April of 2023 if all goes well. It's giving me migraines every time I look at it, so I'm a little concerned.
I am. I just finished up 2 series, and I have like another series that has just kind of been DOA for a while. The first 2 books are published, but I published them 1.5 years apart, and I'm like, who knows when the next one's going to be. Sometimes somebody will ask me, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that I did that series. I should do that. But because of how everything timed out, that I just finished these 2 series within 2 months of each other. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw my hat in the Vela ring. So we're going to see how that goes for a little bit.
Yeah. Guardian, the second book of that series, actually has a Kickstarter coming up in July. Speaking of Kickstarters, I have to touch on something, because Bob said that he said in the panel that Sable was really close to her goal, and then Siobhan posted the link, and suddenly Sable was over her goal. Same thing happened for this book.
Nice.
Only it was Greg's stream. I went to the Greg's stream. I said, yesterday we made it to up to 60, within $60 of the goal. I'm really close. I'm probably going to hit it today, and I'm really excited. And the next thing I knew, Amelie had donated to the Kickstarter, and I was like, it's been 12 hours. I'm going to cry.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't expect that to happen with this one, because for one thing, I did not budget correctly for that book. And I talked about this in the Kickstarter for Writers panel last night. I was like, I budgeted. I thought I budgeted well. And then I started spending money and went, wait.
That and the shipping costs jacked up.
Oh, yeah, the shipping costs did jack up. I was able, because I live in the US and there is a media rate for books, I was able to lower some of my shipping costs and not so much on some of the other ones. I had to ship to New Zealand, and I had incorrectly put in the shipping price for New Zealand. I said $20.
no.
It's $30.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You didn't. Did you make it? Was it a conversion problem or was it a?
It was a brain fart problem.
Because New Zealand is one of those countries that actually calls their dollar dollars.
No, it was a brain fart. It was
But their dollar's not worth our dollar. Like Canada does the same thing.
Yeah, but the Canadian dollar is almost worth as much as the American dollar.
Yeah.
The Australian dollar is actually lower than the Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the New Zealand dollar is a little lower than that. So.
Yeah. I managed to get everything out okay. I still had $50 left, for which I did one of my stretch goals was I was going to do a hardcover copy of Reaper and make it not Amazon exclusive for the ebook, so that if somebody wanted to buy it from like Nook or Rakuten Kobo or et cetera, that was an option that they had. So I did that. I did not get the paperbacks put over to Ingram Spark, but that's fine.
We do the best we can.
Yeah, that's a stretch goal maybe for the Guardian Kickstarter. I am intentionally for the Guardian Kickstarter, I didn't say what my stretch goals were. Because my stretch goals really are connected to the entire series for this one. Which is, if you give me money for Guardian, I will put it into either fixing the publishing issues with Reaper, or there's a lot of costs still for Abadis, which is book 3. And then there's a fourth book, which I don't know hardly anything about. So for a long time, I swore there wasn't going to be a fourth book. So
I'm in a situation right now where I keep having people ask me if I'm going to be doing paperbacks for a couple of my novellas. I've got a series that has 4 books and 2 novellas and a novelette, and I have paperbacks for the 4 novels, and I've been like debating on what to do with the novellas. And meanwhile, the novellas, like the last one was published about a month ago now, and people are like, we do want to read this still, and I don't want the ebook. And I'm like, I'm trying, I'm sorry. And I recently switched software for formatting paperbacks, and so I've been like in this position of like, which software do I use to do this? And meanwhile, I'm like, but life is getting in the way. So I want to format this, but also like I'm gonna do this other thing instead.
One of the things that I didn't actually talk about in the intro to self-publishing, because I didn't want to be like, oh, poor you. I wish I had waited on this one. On
doing the paperback for it, or on publishing in general?
Publishing in general. There were a lot of reasons. Most of them had to do with the fact that my grandmother passed a month and a bit before I published. And that was maybe a little fast. The reason that I published when I did was I decided 2 things. She made me promise that I would not put off the book because of her illness and eventual death. Fair.
Yeah.
I did put it off a little bit because, grieving process is fine. I put it off a little bit, and I decided I was going to stick to that promise. And also, I had done as much editing as I wanted, and I just wanted it done. So, but it was really close to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Like I set
like
myself
a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
I set myself a extended goal of April 10th. I finished editing it on April 5th.
Ooh, that is tough there.
Yeah. So, if I could go back in time, I would slap myself silly and say, no. I don't care what promises you made. Wait.
It was Nano 2019 the book that I wrote for Nano 2019. And like, I set out to do this. I gave myself this insane goal. So I knew it wasn't like on a whim I had done this, but I set myself up a goal of writing the entire novel in 2 weeks and then editing it and having it published by, I believe, December 14th was the date. And I succeeded. But one of my biggest regrets with it is that I did, because I was putting it in Kindle Unlimited, going Amazon exclusive, I had to send to my ARC readers, I had to send something that hadn't gone through my final proofread yet. And I definitely had some, like, it's the only time I've ever gotten negative comments about my edit. It's not normally a problem. And I did clarify that with them, but they still left those reviews. So, and like, they still left good reviews. It would still be like a 5-star review, but like with a comment that like the edit, I'm like, no, I said I was still editing it. So that was my one regret with that. Also, it was insane, and I don't recommend anybody doing that.
I have a similar story with Guardian.
As Caesar the writer just said, but I never saw the sun during that time. That is accurate. I wrote 9,000 words in one day.
Yeah, I have a similar story with Guardian, only I didn't set myself a publishing deadline. This is good. I wrote Guardian in 10 days. I had 0 to 5 hours of sleep in that 10 days.
Yeah, I was still working full-time when I did that. Siobhan, what did you say? I think you might be muted.
Yeah, you might be muted.
Sorry. I just keep...
fine.
Yeah. But I was asking, wasn't that at the end of Nano last year?
No, it was not the end of Nano last year. It was it was 2018. I had another novel that I was going to write in the same month. I wrote half of that second novel. But I decided for Nano 2018, I was going to write Guardian and Avadis. And that was going to be the end of the series. I have obviously kept to that because I'm talking about the fourth book. So I was going to write Guardian and Avadis because I had outlines for both. I knew more or less what I wanted to happen in both books. I finished Guardian and I started Avadis. And about the 20th or so of November, I went, I'm tired and I'm just going to sleep now.
Yeah, I mean, my first NaNoWriMo, I made my 50,000 words in about 20 days.
Mm-hmm.
Sable made her. The thing is, I'm competitive, so I will choose someone to compete with, someone I know is going to be pushing out the words, right? So my first Nano, it was Sable.
Mm.
So I completed Nano about a week before she did. Okay. Last year, my target to beat for completing the Nano portion was Chrysalia. And they had a day head start.
Yeah.
So you're going to go for Amelie this year?
Oh, hell no.
Are you going to go for Walking Dead Lover?
Amelia Knight? No.
What about Walking Dead Lover?
That's Amelia Knight.
Oh, that's Amelia Knight. Okay, yes. Yes, Walking Dead Lover, I don't think you know this, wrote, was it 40,000 or something like that words in April?
168,000.
Ooh, no. I did 101,000 last Nano. But that was pretty much, oh no, you know what? I'm saying that's pretty much my max, not to brag in any way whatsoever, but I also edited a novella in the middle of all of that. I wrote 101,000 words and I edited 50,000 words.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I made NaNoWriMo in 4 days last year.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Oof. I'm in, if y'all know the Nano crowd well, Sushi is in Atlanta.
Oh, right, yes.
That's the stuff that Sushi does. Bob, do you participate in NaNoWriMo?
Yes, I did this past year. I was a rebel, though. I wasn't working on a novel. And again, I'm trying to get, to publishable material for my world. So
Right.
But everything I'm doing, in whether it's World Anvil or Nano, whatever, the first thing I do is figure out what can I do that will let me play this game, but that will also not distract me from my long-term, immediate goal.
Yeah.
So last October, I realized I was in the process of laying out the calendar and defining. I was still doing some definition of the 12 playable races in my world, and I was laying out the calendar or whatever. So what I did last year for Nano was 12 short stories. Each one of them was the short story about why a particular constellation in the night sky got the name it got.
Nice.
And there's one for each of the 12 playable races.
Nice.
Yep.
So
yeah, but the thing
they're
is,
not all finished. I got 60,000 words done, and they're not all finished. So
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
looking at it conservatively, when I get all 12 of those stories to the point where they're publishable, that'll probably be at least 100,000 words, actually, because they're each one of the short stories is a good 10 to 12,000.
Nice.
before edits.
Yeah, before edits.
Yeah, before edits, yes. I haven't done a lot of work with them though, because I've been moving on to other things, but that's still there, and I haven't forgotten it, and I definitely want to get back to it. So
So that's your Nano project for this year. Finish
that
it.
could very well be to just keep going in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what I ended up writing this last Nano was about 123,000 words. I finished book 1 and started book 2.
Mhm.
Chrysalia did about 196,000 words.
Yeah.
That is impressive. I finished 2 novels, obviously shorter novels. If it ended up being, I finished the second novel the first week of December. So the 2 of them together were about 120,000. So about 60,000 words that are in a series that I've got 6 books set up for, that they're ready to go, but I'm going to be doing a rapid release on all 6 of them, and I would rather just have all 6 of them ready to go when I do that. But then I had these other 2 series that I had to finish up. So I'm actually going to be doing, for July, I'm going to be writing, it's technically a companion novel to them, but I'm going to be trying it on the Vela market to see what happens there. And we'll go from there. Whether that one works on Vela, who knows what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then it'll be a companion book for the rest of the series when it comes out. So
Hi, Coffee.
The World Anvil community has one of the other. We've been talking about summer camp a lot, but the other big event they do each year is called World Ember.
Yeah.
And it's the month of December.
Okay.
And in that one, the challenge is to write 50,000 words in your world. Or what? Sorry.
10,000.
10,000. Oh yeah, 10,000 is the minimum.
Yeah.
But they also recognize 25 and 50.
Yeah.
1,000. So,
Awesome.
So on the heels of the 60,000 word November, I put another 54,000 words into my player character guide in December. So
Yeah.
It also is not finished yet.
My July project this year is to do World Anvil stuff for summer camp, because I have a book coming out and I have a world for that book. And that world is very small. It needs to grow a smidgen.
Just be aware that, and this is one of the things I did with my summer camp pledge was, I kind of wrote it so that first timers especially would hopefully read it and see. When I first, last year was my first summer camp, and I was like, I'm just getting started in this world. I'm going to get this world laid out. I'm going to get the framework built, all the structure built. Great. And then the prompts start coming out, and the prompts are things like, write about a vehicle that brings people happiness.
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
that have to do? I don't have a world yet. How the hell do I?
Write about a subculture in your world.
Right. So what I did quickly, and I was lucky to do it. I said, okay, I know where I'm writing for. I know what region I want to get done first. All right. I'm going to make sure that my prompts all answer something in that region.
Yeah.
All right. But they're going to be, but it's fluff as far as the world is concerned. It's embellishment stuff. So I tried to warn people that this year, anybody that hasn't been through one yet, do not go into summer camp thinking you're going to build your world.
No.
You're not. You're going to, and I said, some of the prompts might let you put some bones into your world.
Yeah.
Some of the prompts might let you put a little skin on some of the bones that exist.
Yeah.
Some of the prompts are the bling that you get to wear after you've got the flesh on.
Yeah.
All right. Eventually, it's all important though.
Yeah.
Now you can use those bling articles to remind you, and this is one of the mechanical beauties of World Anvil. Oh, I need this vehicle that brings people joy. Well, okay, somebody needs to own it. Article stub for the minstrel troupe that owned this wagon. I need to explain why they're bringing people joy. That means I need a village for them to be in, and I need a festival for them to be there for. So these are all little stubs. Now, eventually, the village got written, and and actually, by this time now, it's 11 months later. That troop that owns that wagon are major NPCs in my world.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and a year ago, I didn't know they existed.
Yeah.
So.
And some of the World Anvil articles that I'm going to be writing this next month probably will feed into book 4 because I have an idea for book 4. That's about what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, when I started World Anvil, I got it done in, what was it, 11 days?
Yeah. And even if they don't actually make it themselves into the book, what you might find is that in writing this article again, it makes you think about something else that's missing, and it's that something else that'll make it into the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm going to be writing articles that don't have anything to do with summer camp. I've got a lot of back orders to fill on this world.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I found that maybe this doesn't make it into the novels, right? Mm. But it does give background for other characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've said that to myself too.
Summer camp. What is the timeline on summer camp?
It's the same as Camp Nano.
Okay.
Yeah, July 1st to July 31st. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to
10 prompts get released on July 1st, another 10 on July 10th, 10 on July 20th, and one more on July 30th.
Oh, it's like a surprise.
Last year it was 10, 10, 10, 3.
And it was 3 on the last day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you pick one of the 3, or
no? You had to do all 3.
2 days?
You do all 3 to get the diamond badge.
I love it.
I don't know what I'm actually shooting for this year. I'm shooting for Finish the World, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I think what happened though, I think the reason they cut it down from 3 to 1 for the last day was, I mean, we all joke about it and laugh about it, and so does eSong. But eSongbird recorded, she live streamed her last 3 hours of summer camp.
Trying to finish
when she started that last 3 hours, she still had 5 articles to go.
Oh wow!
Now she had been up the entire night before getting caught up.
Oh dear!
All right, so she was literally working on no sleep after she was like 26 hours into sleeplessness when she started the stream.
Oh no!
By the end of the stream, she was literally reduced to a puddle of incoherent babble. But she got done.
The worst part is she had the entire month to get all 33 done with 3 on the last day. I had 11 days.
Yeah,
I was done.
I think the World Anvil people looked at that video though and said, you know what? If we let this happen again, people are going to die. So
because I found it so because I spent the last day. I got all 3 prompts done in my 2-hour stream. Because it's a minimum of 300 words. So it's like, got my 300, done. Got my 300, done. Got my 300, done.
Yeah, that's probably going to be most of my little articles that I make for the prompts is 300 words. I'm good.
Yeah.
Now there will be some that I expand more on.
Yeah. See, I know I won't stop at 300 words. I will average 1,000 words easily.
Well, yeah, that's just it. I don't think I can stop at 300 now.
Yeah, I will get between 30 and 50,000 words done in July.
Yeah.
I know that.
I set my goal low. I set my goal for 20,000 words. And I'm like, that's going to be the first 5 days.
Yeah.
But
I think the shortest article I did last year was about 620 words.
Yeah.
And that was the one that I was convinced would be a throwaway. Even that found its way into my adventure lore.
Yeah.
So.
I actually got asked a question. I don't remember. Right. One of the things that's happening not this weekend, but next weekend, is on July 3rd, because my Kickstarter will be starting on July 1st. On July 3rd, Sable and Basic Dragon and I are going to have a massive co-stream. We're going to be interviewing each other, talking about our various Kickstarters. Basic Dragons will be ending in a few days. Sable's is now funded and is about at the midpoint at that point. Mine will have just started. Might be funded by then, but not going to count on it.
That's the Saturday, right? Yeah, that's Saturday.
Yeah, that's the Saturday. So that's happening next week. I had somewhere I was going with this.
You were asked a question. I know you started with that.
Yes. I was asked a question by Basic Dragon. One of the interview questions that we had was, is there still internet in your world? Because it is post-apocalyptic. So there was an apocalypse. It's covered in the first book. The world ended, and then it got better. And the answer that I gave was, yes, there is still the internet. It is very limited. And I had to think about this. And this is something I'm going to have to put in a World Anvil article now, because this is also going to be in book 4, because the character that book 4 follows is much more interested in technology and politics and all of the various stuff that the internet using people. Yeah. They're going to be much more interested. So I will go into that. I will have to go into that. And I didn't think of the internet until then. And suddenly it's like, oh, that's going to have to be part of the book. Thing. Yeah.
You know, I very rarely include internet at all in mine, even though I write paranormal romance. It usually is very much on the same timeline as us. It might be a world where they actually know about these paranormal creatures. I've got like a vaguely dystopian thing happening with the shifters, because they're basically a banned race of people in that world. So it's slightly dystopian, but I rarely ever use the internet. And then of all of the things, again, I write romance. Of all of the things for me to end up using internet for, I had to include it in my angel romance. It's part of the Demon series, but the angel watches porn. So I guess there is internet in that world.
What? There's no dating apps?
He is celibate. He's like thousands of years old, and he's been celibate his entire life. And now, like, he has this human living with him, and he's trying to figure out some stuff. He is basically now courting her, and there is a point where he is trying to figure out sex, and like it's a running joke throughout the book, because she keeps telling him that, like, no, will you stop? That is porn that you are watching. That's not what's going to happen here. And finally, when they do ultimately have sex, he's like, oh, this wasn't anything like those movies. And she's like, how many times did I tell you that was not sex ed? That was porn.
Yeah. I actually had a question for you. I do have the book cover for Guardian. Is it okay if I throw it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
I threw up a clip from one of the NaNoWriMo Game of Tomes streams from last year.
Yes, I have this saved for myself.
Here it is.
We got lots of clips on that one particular night because Chrysalia just kept going off.
So this is the book cover for Guardian, which is the book that's coming out. It's the sequel to Reaper. It's the sequel to this one.
Can I see that book cover as well?
Yes, actually.
It's not a critical thing at all,
Yeah,
but I always like to compare the two covers.
Let me find it before I share my screen again because I'm going the wrong direction. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think you like to compare them to see how they shift and progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's no. Here it is. I found it. All right. Share screen. Yes, I know. That's nice. This one.
Oh, I really like that. Oh, so you've got this like rose motif as well as the raven that goes between the covers. I like that.
Yes.
I like that it was your name at the same place because I know that the title was not, but I feel like that worked really well that you had the title in different places on both of them.
Yeah. This is book one. And I didn't suggest the roses at all. That was input by the cover artist. That was her idea, and she showed me this cover, and I was like, "That is absolutely gorgeous," and it's what I asked for the inside of the book. And the other image that I'd asked for the outside of the book is also absolutely gorgeous, but I can't not use this for the cover. You realize that?
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, we have to take a look at the closing ceremonies right now. Everybody's wearing silly hats.
Yeah.
Oh, are we still? Is it
Are they still
going?
Yeah, they're still going.
Hang on.
They had up the thanks to all the hosts.
Yeah, I saw that. So I assume that we have moved on, but let me see.
Is this going to make sound? Is my question.
Yes. Unless you have it muted.
On my phone, I might be muted. I think I'm muted. Yeah, everybody's got funny hats.
There they are. Everybody with their funny hats. At least one of those hats is not actually a hat.
Yeah,
that's true.
The lady has a fake hat, has a hat graphic on.
Yeah. Sable's wearing her bunny ears.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee's got her hedgy quills.
Yep. Let me see. Turn. There we go.
Yeah, everybody's got a fun hat on.
Yeah.
Except Mez, who has a cows. Yeah, cows.
A whole herd of cows, actually.
Well, but
I'm seeing
on their head.
Yeah, he stuck it between the bars on his headset.
It's like we're spying on them.
It is, yeah, a little bit.
You haven't followed Writer's CONduit yet?
I don't. I forget to hit the button. Just let me be. There. There. Now everybody knows that we're spying on them. That's your fault.
No, it's my
I'm sure
fault.
Coffee's figured it out. Coffee's lurking.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
No, it's my fault. I just told him Chill and Chat 10 is currently spying on you.
Whispers got hype.
Gosh, that's going to run forever. That was supposed to be done 40 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, Coffee.
Hello, Coffee.
We are watching you. Oh my God, now you're watching yourself on like God knows how many monitors.
Yeah.
Coffee's watching us watching her.
Things just got real meta at the end here. But you know what? Also, again, this being the end of a con, this is exactly the stuff that you expect in the last hour of a con right here.
Oh, yeah.
The goofiness of cons. is exactly what we needed for the end of the con. Is
Oh,
just
yeah.
a little bit of goofy.
Yeah. Oh,
Waving.
they gave up.
Aw.
We won. We're the winners, guys.
Yay!
Well, now let's see if they all come over here.
Right,
Yeah,
I was
they
gonna say,
probably will.
Technically, we were scheduled to be the winners, but that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're supposed to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to be asleep, but I decided I'd come and hang out.
Same.
Oh, so like back on like the plan for what I was gonna do for this, and I kept meaning to go back to it and didn't. Bob, what other panels were you on today? Or this week? Right.
Well,
That was the original conversation, and then it just went off the rails.
Today was RPG writing and map making. I think we talked about those. Yesterday, I had the finding your online community.
CONduit.
Yeah, here they come.
Oh, right.
They're raiding. Yeah, finding your online community. You know where
now,
I got to.
What was the premise behind that one?
It was actually kind of just a review of all of the different independent writer groups.
There are so many.
that all got put together by this con.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, so it was that, and then what was the other one I was in yesterday? It was so long ago.
One of the ones that I didn't get to talk about earlier was ADHD and writing. That was a fun panel.
Okay.
Yeah, you said that was one of the ones that could have been like an entire convention devoted to that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. So, Bob, what can you? I see that Melody has just said so many different sub-communities. What were some of the sub-communities? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm here because Coffee Quills invited me here, and I'm not really part of the communities that have come together. I mean, obviously I am, and from what we've been talking about, but I really
You are
feel
now.
in a weird way.
You are now.
Twitch Writers Network, For the Words,
Anvilite Streamer Core and
Anvilite Streamer Core. Well, World Anvil actually. I mean, it was technical. You know,
we're forgetting something.
I think Nano was in there.
Yeah, NaNoWriMo definitely is part of it.
And Writer's Workout.
And
That's
Writers
the other
Workout,
one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
So, the ADHD. Oh, Bob, did you figure out what your other panel was?
No, it's funny. I'm looking for it now.
I'm looking at,
so, Eli,
the
your
list that I was in.
ADHD panel. What all did you? Was it just like different ways to handle, like trying to be as efficient as possible while also dealing with ADHD, or what was the focus on? I feel like I'm saying all the wrong words on this, and you have to accept that about me.
That's fine. What we talked about was how do you cope with ADHD, and how do you make it work with writing. One of the things that we didn't get to until the very end of the panel was actually hyperfocus and how it is both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, it's hyperfocus. For those of you who are watching and don't know, hyperfocus is the opposite of ADHD, but it is a symptom of ADHD. It's so ADHD, your mind goes bleh, and you focus on 1,000 things at once, and you can't focus on any of them because there's too many. Hyperfocus is when your attention goes, I am focused on this one thing, and there is nothing else at all. And you don't realize that you need to pee or eat or anything but breathing, pretty much. Yeah, sleep. Who needs sleep? I've got hyperfocus. Yeah, we didn't get to touch on that until the very, very end. But what were some other things? I saw 101 Mystic in here.
Yep.
101 Mystic was also on the ADHD panel. What else did we talk about? I forgot. I'm ADHD.
Yeah, or the avalanche blasting is happening in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had it where, because I'm ADHD and I hyperfocus, especially when I'm reading or writing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I actually had one point where my mother came in 4 times to tell me dinner was ready.
Oh, yeah. I've got a similar story.
And I didn't hear it at all. An hour later, I went to go, well, when's dinner? She goes, that was an hour ago.
Yeah, I've got a story where my mom came in to tell me 4 times to take out the garbage. I didn't hear her the first 3, and the only reason I heard her the 4th time was because she took the book away.
Yeah, that's one thing you don't do to me.
Yeah,
I
it was a
reacted
little
violently.
dangerous. It was a little dangerous, and she knew it, but it was like I was 14, I think, and I was like, hey, and then she said, I told you to take out the garbage 3 times, and I went, you did?
Yeah, I'd have it
Now,
work.
when you get into that, are you actually like producing really good content as you do it? I mean, as good as you would normally, not like okay. That's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Just for me as
Sometimes
renter,
yes.
like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes yes. Sometimes well, you remember my story about writing Guardian in 10 days with
Mhm.
0 to 5 hours of sleep. I was hyper fixated at that point, which is like hyper focus, but to 11.
Mhm.
Yeah, hyperfixation is
An
don't-
autistic thingy.
yeah, that's one of the reasons that I think I have some autism in my spectrum is I do hyperfixate, and I hyperfixated on that book, and I finished it in 10 days, and I immediately went 0 out of 10, do not recommend.
Yeah, Mystic goes, hyperfocus is diminishing returns. The early part is nice,
Okay.
it breaks down faster.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand that definitely.
Yeah, the first original draft chapter of Reaper I was hyper focused for, and the first half of the chapter was not too bad. It needed to be expanded into its own chapter. There was 2 paragraphs in the middle of that chapter that I looked at and went, this needs to be a chapter because that's real vague. And then the last half of the chapter I looked at and went, this needs to be its own chapter because this is a lot happening very, very fast.
Yeah.
Understandable.
And there were a lot of parts in that book. There were.
Siobhan, did we hit all of your panels? I feel like we kind of lost count in the middle
Nope.
of the panels that you did.
No, actually, we haven't.
Okay.
We've covered 4 of the 6 that I was working on.
Awesome. I knew. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I know that there was 6 in there, and I wasn't sure how it played. Anyways,
I
what
found
were
my
your other
last one.
panels?
I found my last one. I can get through it real quick, and that way we're done with
yeah.
me. It was a guide to world building software with Kahuna.
Oh, perfect. With Kahuna?
Yeah. We basically just kind of went down, not only, obviously we mentioned World Anvil, but, there are other things like that. But we also did get into, if you're building a world, you might want a map. Here are some mapping software. You might also want, we got into some of the other tools you can add to help you with your editing, things like Grammarly, and we went down those lists. And what we ended with was a reminder that one of the most important things about world building is being prepared to take notes and write something down, or get your thoughts committed to something permanent before you lose them.
Yeah.
So we stress the importance of things like this. Carry a notebook or your phone. At the very least, everybody has an app called Notepad on their phone.
Yeah.
Maggots, yeah.
All right, and not only and if it's inconvenient to type, to keyboard it in, every one of those notebook apps has an audio and input option.
Yeah.
So you could be driving somewhere and just put it on your front page on your app set on your phone. Push the button. I need this to happen in this village. Done. Now when you get to where you're going, or that night, or 2 days from now, you can record all those things and you don't lose anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something that we talked about I did the transitioning from pantsing to plotting panel, and that was one of the big things for me. Was I just started carrying these little notebooks. I got like a 10-pack of them for $4 from Amazon.
Right.
And it was the perfect size for my shirt pocket back when I was a cake decorator. And just every single thing I thought of, I would write into this notebook, and you could see Yeah, you can see that I can, if it focuses.
No, yep.
There we go.
Like,
Yep.
I would
Well-
put that slash through it when I had it, like, actually put into my notes on my program for the book that it was for.
I also
Just
mentioned
Mr.
these.
Twinkle.
You see these guys? Every September, Staples sells these 10 for $1. Buy 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love having little notebooks around. And for some reason, like, I know that I can use my phone, but it's just easier for me to have it written in my notepad. And then I don't know why. It's absolutely like a weird psychological thing, but the little notepads just always work better than phones. I don't know, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Right, but you can use that pad and paper in world building, especially not just for written ideas, but a quick sketch out of a new map that you need to draw, or a quick sketch out of an item that you need to add, or, I mean, and let's face it, no matter how bad you are at art, you'll be able to faster put something down for your own consumption with a pen and paper or pencil and paper than if you have to bring out your drawing tablet and start up your art app. And
I also have rocket books, which are, you use you use the friction pens with them, and it erases, like, for the ones that I have, some of them you can actually put in the microwave. I don't own a microwave, but these, if you use water on them, you just use like a washcloth, and everything erases from it. But it's got this little QR code at the bottom of it that they have an app that the app will actually just scan it and turn it into a file. They do have, I'm blanking on the term for it, but the handwriting recognition. If you have good
OCR.
handwriting, it
OCR.
will. Yes.
Yeah.
If you have good handwriting, it does a really good job of translating it. And so this is also, and it just automatically emails it to you or sends it to your OneNote or a few other things. That's Rocketbook. They are a little expensive, but they are a forever notebook. So that's something else that's really handy.
Swiftness author makes a good point that handwriting activates different parts of the brain, and you retain the info more. And that's why I'm usually a typer. But when I'm stuck, I will switch to handwriting. And specifically, I will switch to handwriting with "Allow me to make Moonflower very happy" fountain pens.
I love my fountain pens.
Yep. So Siobhan, what were your other panels?
The other two panels were the ones I was a host for. Planned host, that is. The first one was editors, what they do and where to find them. And that was a fun panel. Because I listened to the editor, the people who were editors. We lost one of our panelists, so it was just down to 2.
Oh no!
Oh, I wish I was on a different panel.
You were on a panel.
Never mind.
You couldn't. Yeah.
So what did you learn in that panel? Because you would have therefore just been one of us, but getting to have the front row seat on it. So what did you learn stuff in it?
I learned more about what an editor does, the different types of edits, right? And the fact that, yes, before you send your stuff to an editor, do your own self-edit first.
Oh, yeah. At least one.
If not more.
Preferably multiple.
Yep.
And because you don't want... That's what I say whenever anybody asks me to beta read for them as well. Like, don't send me something early that you can fix problems on your own for. Wait until you get to the point where you don't think there are any problems that you can fix, and then send it to me. And therefore, obviously if you're going through an alpha reader, it's a very different situation. But people will send me rough drafts as their beta reads. And I'm like, don't.
Yeah, no, that's not beta. That's
and also, obviously I'm doing beta reading just as like a friendly service to a friend, just allow that grammar to happen. But I'm also a proofreader, and people will send stuff to me that has not been thoroughly edited. And I mean, I'll go ahead and proofread it for you, but it's completely trash what I'm doing, and I'm still going to ask my fee for this proofread, whether or not what you give me is trash, because I'm not here to make the story better. I'm here to make sure that everything is grammatically correct in it. If you have to rewrite the story because it was weak somewhere, that's not my job, and I'm not, so like, thankfully most people will talk to me in advance, but I do have a Fiverr, and every once in a while somebody will send me something that I'm like, are you sure you want me to do this? Okay.
Chat wants to know what that massive beast behind you is, by the way, Chloe.
Yeah, it's my cat. He's just a big old chonk. We call him Chonk. His real name is Abba Zaba. I'm really surprised he's being this calm because food time was an hour ago, so he is absolutely starving to death at this point. I don't know what's going on with him, but he seems to be happy getting all the attention.
He's very cute.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mystic. Wondering how I get the internet out in the forest.
Oh.
Because that's been my background the entire con.
Yeah, at least, see, I at least have a road to run down. Now you can't really see it because my chair's in the way.
Well, the thing is, I've got a path.
Here, wait a minute. I can do this.
Are we gonna war over backgrounds?
There, see, I have a road to run down. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. I think I am winning, not just because of Chonk, but also bad. When I am done with this, I can just bad.
That did not work.
No, it did not work.
Yeah,
but that's okay. I've got a nice path that I can walk down.
Oh,
yeah, I put up the virtual background and it lit up the green thing that I'm pointing at. That's it. That's the only thing that it did. It was that.
Yeah, because the virtual background for this, it says it requires a green or blue screen, a well-lit one.
I'm surprised it didn't go for the bed, but whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, I like my forest. That's actually my image I have for my Feylands.
Oh, nice.
For my world.
So
because
what was your final panel?
The last one that I haven't covered yet was world building without racism.
Ooh.
And I know you lost a panelist for that one too.
We lost the lead on that one.
Oh.
The POC.
I guess I got lucky that I didn't have this problem with any of my panels. I feel like real good about that now. Thank you to all of my fellow panelists who were able to make it.
Who was that? Who was it you lost?
Graham Barber, POC gamer.
He was supposed to be the lead for the one that I ended up leading too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, how do you do a world building without racism when the person of color is not there and it's two white women?
Oh no. Oh no.
So it became more of a panel of inclusivity.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Because we try.
In a situation like that, you do the best you can. And
yeah.
If that's
That by the way is an interesting topic in the RPG world.
It is.
I mean, we've gotten past. When I say we, I mean in general, the gaming world has gotten past gender by just making it go away.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, male characters, there were limits on female characters. They could be wiser, but they couldn't be as strong as a male. And they were built-in limits. They're all gone now. I mean, now gender is literally gender is just as important as eye color. It means nothing at all to your game stats.
Yeah.
So it's made gender go away. If you want to play, if your table wants to play, male and female only, then that's what your table plays. If your table wants to play, any one of the 47,000 possible options in the LGBTQ plus world, then that's fine too. That's up to a table. That's not, the rules are out of that now. race is a different problem. I mean,
Yeah, it's true.
and it's because we're not talking about like black human, white human, yellow. We're talking dwarf, elf, halfling. But are they metaphors for black human, white human? So
Yeah.
So we're trying to, and in my world, for example, one of the big ones, orcs. Orcs are usually those big brawny other people that that are bad, because they're orcs, So I'm taking great care in my world to make sure that at least there's no good, evil, smart, stupid, stereotypes associated with any one of the player races. You can be you want to be an orc wizard, go for it.
I played an orc paladin.
Yeah. And that's now that means I have to make sure the orc pantheon has good gods, middle gods, and evil gods, but every other pantheon does too.
Yeah.
So you don't have that. There can now. Do you deal with racial issues? All right, you can, but you got to be. Again, you want to make sure that you're not broadcasting stand-in kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a kingdom that is human-centric. Actually, they tolerate halflings because the halflings were made by the same gods as the human. So I blame it on religion. But this kingdom, if you want to be a citizen, you have to be either human or halfling. All right. Other races are tolerated, but not welcomed. Now, but it's not any one particular race. It's all 10 other races, But at the same time, they have to trade with them. They get their iron from the dwarves. They get other products from the elves. So they have to deal with these other races. But so I'm actually planning on. Well, I shouldn't say planning on. I'm thinking about using some of that. That tension as plot hooks, because this particular region is going to be all about scheming and subterfuge and assassinations and spying and all of that kind of thing. So there's going to be some stuff in there. I'm going to have to be very careful with how I do it, though.
Yeah, it's true. I am friends with D'Angelo Murillo, who's a big part of the D&D community, especially here on Twitch. And he is a brown gamer. He's Latinx, and one of the things that he talks about often is the problems with race within the D&D community. Not just why are you playing? You are a brown man, but also you should not be playing your elf, dwarf, whatever as brown, despite the fact that you are brown. That is something that he has had to deal with. So it's okay. I'm white. I can't speak to this. I'm just speaking to what I have heard him say.
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma, and it's interesting, of course, not just in RPGs, but in writing in general, how you, and of course, this isn't just a panel. This is an unending topic that doesn't really have a good solution to it, because there are so many different ways to look at it. But like for me, I address it a bit in my shifter stuff, because it's a dystopian world where the shifters are basically treated as, as less than human. And I do have diverse characters in it, that, other than the fact that they are shifters, but, and I won't say that I did this deliberately in any sense, but for me, it actually made it a little bit easier to write it, because I didn't have to worry so much that, about hitting those boundaries, because there was automatically the shifters that were taking the brunt of it. So the
Right.
fact that the shifter was also black didn't have a big, like, that wasn't so much of an impact just because the world was a different world. But to write, to make sure that you're getting all of the diversity in something that is contemporary is certainly, it's a much more complicated situation.
Yeah, the issue is, though, in our world, racism is when one group of humans treats another group as less than human.
Yes, exactly.
In a fantasy world, of course the humans are going to treat the dwarves as other than human. They're not human.
Yeah.
They're dwarves.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have to extricate myself. My husband just came in and said, I miss you, so I have to go.
okay.
Honestly,
So,
we are at that time anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So I think that's a good spot for us to just say farewells. If you guys have some parting words, we can go around, and we'll go ahead and start with Eli, since you were the first one to join me.
All right, I'm EliKwake. I'm here on Twitch at twitch.tv/EliKwake. It is how I spell my name over here. And Gwen, I will tell Mr. Twinkle you say hi. I can also be found at EliKwake.com, or I'm at EliKwake on Twitter. And I'm going to go now because Mr. Twinkle misses me and I miss him too.
All right, Siobhan.
Bye. Have a great rest of the con, everyone.
You can find me, SiobhantheWriter, on World Anvil and Discord. I am Brianna Healy on Facebook, Brianna Siobhan on Twitter. On Twitch, I am SiobhantheWriter _Siobhan, SHIVAHN. And as always, stay true. Stay true to yourselves. Stay true to your dreams.
Thank you. How about you, Bob?
RPGDinosaurBob. You can find me on Twitch at RPGDinosaurBob. I'm still putting. I remember I mentioned I'm going to get my World Anvil homework done. I'm still getting my act together on other social media. But I'm there on Twitch. I'm DinosaurBob in World Anvil for those World Anvilites out there. DinosaurBob was already taken in Twitch, so I had to. I like Games GM had to stick a few extra letters on the name for Twitch. But RPG works well, so. Visit my world. I'm going to put my own little plug in here.
Yeah, absolutely do that. Plug away.
Okay.
I am not here to hold anybody back. Also, Moobot is plugging me right now. Thank you.
There you go. Come visit my world. See what I'm doing. And
here's my author's profile on World Anvil. So feel free to come check out my work.
Awesome. And I am Chloe Alice Balkan. You can find me right here because we're on my channel right now. And I do, as I said before, I write mostly paranormal romance, and I also write erotica. And I realize that's not most people's brand of stuff they like, but Boobot has done a fine job of promoting me all on its own. So thank you, everybody, for joining us this weekend. Thank you for making CONduit go as well as it did. Thank you to all of the other panelists for sharing all of your insight on this topic. I wish I should have asked in advance for words from staff for me to say right now, and I don't have it. So all of these thanks are just coming from me personally as a panelist. But thank you to everybody. Thank you to you two, and also Eli, for joining me for this final chill and chat. You guys, I hope this has given you guys a lot of inspiration for this year and answered a lot of questions and made your writing lives better. Yeah.
Lots of VODs.
Yep.
Lots of VODs to watch.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you
And
so much.
just keep writing, folks.
Absolutely. Yes, and the Discord is active right now, so you guys can carry on the conversation in Discord, and we hope to see you next year. And on that, I think we're all saying bye, guys. Bye.
Take it easy.
Bye.